1 hour ago, pole day concluded here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The fans have made their way home, but we're going to be here with a special primetime edition as we recap the exciting day that just transformed and came to life here at Indianapolis. After weeks of rain, qualifying for the Indy 500 finally began today.
Speeding along at a record pace of qualifying today.
Familiar faces return.
Michael Andretti back in the cockpit, and he's loving it. And Al Unser Jr. has qualified.
And new faces debuted.
Another Andretti. Marco starts at the age of 19.
And the fight for the pole was intense.
Pounding down the straightaway to the yard of bricks. He's going up the ladder, and the checkered flag waved high.
Welcome to our primetime 3-hour special coverage of Pole Day at the Indianapolis 500, the 90th running of the greatest spectacle in racing. And we're so glad that you're with us. Don't go anywhere because we're going to recap everything that unfolded during the entire day today. It took us an extra week to get it in, but as you can see, joining us here on our set, a smiling and very happy Sam Hornish, because you are with your first pole. Congratulations. And I have to ask you, we talk about it being the 4 most gut-wrenching laps that a guy ever goes through. How much gut-wrenching did you go through prior to the run, and when did you know you had it?
About 5:59, I decided that we'd be okay, but no, as we came up to the run, we knew that we were quick. We've been quick all month, and we were just really excited to get out there and actually get qualifying in and see where we're going to shake out. Everybody tried us to hold a little bit back for qualifying, and we think we did a pretty good job at that. But we were never too sure about it until right at the end.
And did you think you had more left there? Because we talked to Elio just a little while ago, and he said he thought that you might even be able to go faster than what you did.
Well, we still had a little bit of downforce that we could peel off the car, but we tried to do that this morning in practice and wasn't quite 100% sure of it. We wanted to make sure, as Roger put it, that we didn't go out there and whiff. And I think that we just tried to play it smart today and do the right things and not try to go out there and throw a big number down.
Well, we want to bring in the man who signs your paychecks, because Roger Penske just picked up his 13th pole. There he is back in the garage area. I did some quick math. There's only been 90 poles here. You now own 15% of them. Congratulations.
Well, Marty, it's a great day for us, and certainly as passionate as our team is for the pole in this race. To have Sam on top and Elio sitting next to him, it's just a great day, and it's the experience of our team, and all the people did the hard work. And there was no question that Sam showed how quick he could go all month. Elio was right there, and they certainly kept each other honest. But again, Sam's got it today. We've got to look about what's going to happen during the week. There's some tremendous teams we have to compete against, but it's our day. We can gloat here for the next couple days.
Roger, I'm sitting up here with Sam right now. He reminds me of Rick Mears so much. You've talked about Sam, how he's not afraid to let it hang out and get everything he can out of a qualifying lap. We've proved that Elio's got what it takes when it comes to winning the races. He's won 2 of these races so far, but Sam, congratulations, buddy. It was a great run for Team Penske this afternoon, but the run you had today, was it a Rick Mears style qualifying run where Rick's always telling us you got to let that baby drift out, and it is 4 gut-wrenching laps, or was it just screwed to the ground solid?
I don't think I took a breath until the 3rd lap when I was coming down the front straightaway, and I actually caught myself gasping for air. But the big thing for me was just to go out there and continue to try to move forward and use as much of the track as I could. The car was about as close as it could be to perfect.
Sam, well, let's take you through the run, and you take us through the run more likely, because we just get the green flag here into turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, almost 229 miles an hour all the way through the corner there. So, I mean, it's pretty fast. And, I think the big thing for us was just to work on the consistency of the car over the week. And, we got it to where we could run a lot of laps, right there at a high speed. But, it's really a tribute to the team. The whole Marlboro Team Penske crew has been solid for the last 3 years, and hopefully we'll continue to do good things. And I got a lot of faith in those guys, and they gave me a great race car today.
2 championships so far. You've always been fast everywhere you've gone, but some bad luck here at Indianapolis. Do you feel like this is the start of getting the monkey off your back a little bit?
Well, I sure hope so. I've been, I've done a lot of things, and I've been really happy with my career and what I've been able to accomplish so far. But it doesn't mean anything if you don't get a win at the Indy 500. But I know that there's a lot worse things in life too. But that would be a big thing that you could check off and be relieved when it got over with that you were able to do that.
Roger, is this your first time to see this run from this perspective? I mean, he was hitting 236 down the straightaway.
Well, I can tell you that we were standing up there in the fourth turn, Tim Cindric and myself, and watching the monitor, and we have the ability to really predict the lap based on some of the information we have. So we knew he was on a great run, and those 2:29 laps were just outstanding. And I think people didn't realize that he had saved a little bit, but that's Sam Hornish Jr. And to me, I hope he saves a little bit for the race.
Well, Roger, the poll's done. You got it. But back to the question: does he remind you of Rick?
Well, there's no question that when you had to get it done, Mears was a guy that always brought it home for you, and Sam certainly did that today. And Rick spent a lot of time, Rusty, with Sam, and I think trying to relate some of his experiences. And I saw you get it up too many times, so it's a great day for all of us.
All right, what do you do from here? I mean, now this is another one of those accomplishments you wanted to put into the book, and obviously now focusing on race day. What's the game plan? Because you said you're approaching this race differently than you have in years past.
Yeah, I came here almost every time I've ever came here with how do I win the race? How do I get to victory lane? And it hasn't worked out yet for me, so I kind of came here, how do I just finish the 500 miles? I've never finished all 500 miles in one race here, so I've been there running at the end, but never completed all of them. So the big thing for me is just to go out there and make sure that we make it to the end, and if we can do that, I think that we've got a great opportunity to win the race. So I think in doing the first part, we give ourselves a great opportunity. But as far as comparing anybody to Rick Mears, I think that as far as demeanor goes, Rick and I are pretty similar. But I mean, you look at that guy's reputation on the track and what he was able to accomplish here in the amount of time. I think I'd have to win out to be able to even win as many 500s in the amount of years that he did.
Roger, one final question for you regarding Sam. I mean, he has told us that one of the things that you promised him that right from the get-go was, we're going to win you an Indy 500. Is this the year?
Well, I'll tell you, we've been trying it here for a couple of years. It's about time we get it done. So he's sure got a good chance. He's got a great team, and I think he's learned a lot over the last 2 years with us, and to me, this is our day.
All right, we're going to let you take a little breather, but Sam, I want to ask you, what's the schedule for tomorrow now? Will you be doing full tank runs?
Yeah, we're going to do some full tank running, plus we're going to do some pit stop practice. With the way that everything is scheduled now with the 1,200 miles on the engines, we didn't want to go out there and run consecutive pit stop laps because you're burning miles that you could possibly do be using for race practice. So now that we're in the race, once we get everything handled in right with the car, we're going to do some pit stop practice, also scrub some tires, and just continue to work on making sure that we cross off all cross all the T's and dot the I's and make sure that everything is just right when it comes time for the race. All right, we're going to let you go as well, but if you want to chat with Sam, he is going to be online tonight. In fact, here it is, 8:45 Eastern Time. All you have to do is log on to ESPN.com and then search Pole Winner. And Sam, thanks so much. Congratulations again, and we'll let you get on out of here so you can go talk to the folks online, and then we'll send it down to Jack Arute.
Well, Marty, maybe the first guy that'll want to get to a computer has joined me down here with the backdrop at pit exit, and that's the man that Sam Hornish beat for the pole position, his teammate Elio Castroneves. And Elio, before we take a look at your pole run, it was just the last couple of days where your team was in a bit of a bind as far as the handling of your race car, and then all of a sudden you discovered what the problem was. Tell me.
That's right. I mean, Wednesday, basically the end of the day, we found out that the car started doing some very different things, and Thursday and Friday was kind of getting worse. All of a sudden, I'm like, guys, I better go to Miami. I'm not gonna qualify. I don't care. Let's do something. But they found the shocks that was leaking air, and that what made us. That's why upsetting most, especially in turn one. Man, let me tell you, this corner here, when you have some problem, it was very difficult. But they found out, which is amazing. This team, they're looking for the small details. we were able to qualify in the front row today.
And you knew what the time to beat was because you took the T car down right to the end, and that was the luck of the draw. And let's talk a little bit about your run, because as effortless as it looks on TV, it really wasn't.
Wow. Let me say, Sam mentioned that he gasped me for air. I was purple. In my run, I had no air at all. I was holding my breath. I was really kind of make sure I did not put any wheel off wrong, you know, because we're running really low downforce. If you see those wings compared to the other one, even drivers were kind of joking around. What are you doing, man? I'm like, listen, if you got to take a chance here, this is the place. And we're great. I mean, obviously, Sam did a hell of a run, you know, and I'm very, very happy. That number 3, I mean, we couldn't take more out of it, you know. It was so clean. It was smooth as a baby's butt, you know. Everything was so nice, and that's what takes the difference. Sometimes people think it's oh, well, those guys are doing whatever, something different. No, it's just the small details. We've been working for 2 years, you know, to compensate with what we thought that was low on power. But today, I mean, paid off for both guys, and we're very happy.
So what was the difference? Because Sam got the pole and you got the middle of the front row, and it was close, but close is only good in horseshoes. Was it driving style? What was the difference between your 2 runs?
That's one thing that we're never gonna understand, especially about Indianapolis. You know, we're very close in setups. The only thing was really different. I was taking more chance on low downforce, and well, you never know. You know, today everything is so equal that maybe something a little bit better, that the shocks or spring, 100 spring different, it might make a difference. But I honestly. He was definitely through whole month doing those kind of times. I mean, that was very difficult to beat. So we did everything we could with that number 3, and we're happy.
We heard Roger say that maybe Sam Hornish Jr., his driver there, was a lot like Rick Mears. Who do you want to be as one of the former Penske drivers?
I'll tell you, I want to be me, man. I understand that I'm the second winnings in the Team Penske. So I want to try to beat Rick Mears, which would be very hard. I mean, that man is just amazing. If you talk to Rick Mears about his past, he has all kind of situations, all kind of stories, but always in the end, he wins the race. So it's an amazing, it's awesome talking to him. But you know, just to be part of this organization is great. And man, that run, I'm telling you, it was everybody's holding there. Not only myself, but even my engineer was like, please God, please hold it.
Elio, it wasn't that many years ago that you were watching the Indianapolis 500 in Brazil when a Brazilian by the name of Emerson Fittipaldi won the race. And when they announced his earnings, what did you say to your family?
Well, it wasn't the earning basically, but I definitely told Sam one day I'm going to be racing for that guy over there. And well, the dream come true. When you dream big and you have faith and work hard, you no doubt about it, you can get it.
Now I want to let you in on a secret. Now Tim Cindric is your strategist,
my
right?
guy, yeah. He's my man.
Now Roger Penske is Sam's strategist.
Sam's man. All right.
Maybe you better spend a little more time with Roger. What do you think?
I don't think Roger would understand me with my accent, you know?
Is that the issue?
Well, I don't know. No.
Let's talk a little bit about the race, because I think, fellas, one of the things that we will see on race day is Roger is not afraid to change strategies. Put you on one strategy, put Sam on another. When are those decisions made?
Well, actually, we always talk in the beginning of the race, but if Roger feels something that will benefit him, he will do it. I mean, the team is definitely it's competing against each other. There was no monkey business, as they say. You know, everybody's like trying to win. But again, in the end of the day, you want to see both cars on the top of the field.
For those of you that were with us on our ESPN coverage in the final hour of qualifying, it was some tense moments for you as Target Chip Ganassi's 2 drivers, and Scott Dixon and Dan Wheldon, who qualified behind you, kept at least intimating that they were going to go out.
Yep.
Were you prepared to go back out as well?
Well, I was inside the car. In fact, I made one run. The wind shifted a little bit, which I think is slowed down the track. So I can see that they're going 225, 225, and they have to go to 28 at least to go out there. So I said, you know, guys, I took chance already. I don't want to take more chances today. Enough. And we're just waiting. Obviously, if they would have passed me or something, I would have been ready to go back again.
What's on the agenda and the hit list for you tomorrow for your side of the Penske team?
Well, I guess I never expect the front row. I always thought I was only the pole man, but the front row, it's going to be doing travels to New York, doing medias. Tomorrow, obviously, you're going to work on the race setup, special to see if the shock improve or not, you know, and wait for the Carburation Day.
You've got 2 Indianapolis 500s to your credit in a very short span here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Have you discovered something about this racetrack that makes it more to your liking than, let's say, some other drivers that'll be in the field?
You know what? The challenge of this place, it's so hard to drive 500 miles. And in the point, I think we are able to expect the unexpected, especially my team, my group. You know, we're always being careful. Sometimes we're thinking like, oh, man, I shouldn't leave this time. You know, I should have kept going. But maybe those circumstances help us to finish the race and be in the right place on the right time. So I like when there's a place, this is an oval, but feels like you have to drive the car like a road course. And I love road course. So if you combine everything together, if it makes sense for you guys, that's why I enjoy this.
Hey, Marty?
All right, you guys mentioned Dan Wheldon. He's up here with us. We're going to do a complete segment with him next, but I do have to ask, would you have gone back out if you could have gotten out there with us some time?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to test the car first. I did do a qualifying sim and got very, very loose in turn 1. So we came back in, we aborted that run. We were going to go back out, but the time just didn't come up for us. So, you know, unfortunately, I don't honestly believe that we would have been able to challenge Sam. I think it would have been very, very difficult for us to beat him, but I felt we had Elio in our grasp.
All right, stay with us. And Elio, before you leave, without giving everything away, when we come back a little bit later, you took the tour bus around the speedway?
That was no offense, but I was practicing already early with the bus. If you see that, I want to make sure that I was getting ready for any circumstances. But I don't know what, guys, but it was fun to drive a bus in the speedway.
You don't look like Ralph Cramden.
He did a slow lap, you notice, because he had tons of girls on the back.
Yeah, he had all the princesses in there. So I mean, that's why he was going around the racetrack.
They thought I was invited to my apartment. That's why they.
All right. On that note, we're going to go to commercial break. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about Dan's run. We'll take you through all 4 laps with him here as we continue our primetime special on Pole Day. Back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, pole day is over. We set 32 of 33 positions. In fact, the only time 33 cars qualified on one day was back in 1999. Let's take you through the current grid. We've already mentioned 2 of the guys. We're going to talk to Dan Wheldon here in just a matter of moments. There is row number 1. Row number 2, take us through, Scott.
Very impressive in row number 2. I guess a couple of guys I didn't expect to see up there, especially Vitor Meira and the Small Panther team. What a great job they have done.
Rusty, how about row number 3?
No, number 3, Kosuke Matsuura, Scott Sharp, and Marco Andretti. Really happy with Marco's ability out there, what he did today. Sharp, we always thought, in fact, I think, Scott, you were talking, you thought Sharp was going to get up front. You lost a bet, didn't you?
I think I lost 2 bets with you.
No, we knew Kosuke was going to stand on it.
All right, let's check row number 4, and you see there's Danica Patrick and Thomas Scheckter, and Ed Carpenter with a good solid run, put him on the outside of row number 4.
Number 5, I guess I thought Michael Andretti would actually out-qualify his son. I guess I've lost another steak dinner with my buddy Rusty on that one. That's 3, I guess I owe you so far.
Take us through row number 6, Rusty.
Bryan Herta, we knew Bryan was going to be solid out there. Dario, I really expect a lot more out of Dario. He lost that engine, a gearbox problem, got it behind. He's definitely mad and frustrated. But he took that $25,000 steering wheel and sung it outside the car. That wasn't good. Max is glad to have a ride. Be back here at Indy.
And then the guy he's driving for, Eddie Cheever, will be on the inside of row number 7. P.J. Chesham with some of his best laps so far this month. And then Felipe Giaffone on the outside of row number 7.
In row 8, Larry Foyt, you see right there in the middle, coming out of really stock car racing, just to come here once a year to do this. And Jacques Lazier, I was actually very impressed with, because he came here, got involved in that ride, and went quickly right away.
And then let's go back to row number 9.
Buddy Lazier, a past Indy 500 winner, a lot of talent. Jeff Simmons, he's hit the wall twice here. That took a lot out of him. I'm telling you, have confidence to go back out there and do it again. That was a tough one. Al Unser Jr., definitely a sentimental favorite, 219. That car's been locked at 218, 219 the whole month, and he's just dying for some more speed. Really wants to get this thing in race form and get out there.
And in row number 10, Roger Yasukawa stepped in yesterday for John Herb, immediately took the car. Herb was running around 2:04 for his best. You see Roger put it in at 2:18. Ayrton Dare will be in the middle of that row, and Stefan Gregoire will be on the outside. And then in row number 11, it's Arie Luyendyk Jr. and P.J. Jones right now on the bump spot, which could be 2:15 unless a couple of guys go quicker tomorrow, and we'll find out then what happens. But right now, let's bring in Dan Wheldon again. First off, congratulations. I mean, there's nothing to be embarrassed about finishing third. We sort of get carried away with pole, but anytime you're in the first row, it's a heck of a feat.
Yeah, it is. We work very, very hard. Certainly the boys back in the shop, they've prepared us a car especially for this race, and it's been fantastic. But obviously I was brought into Chip Ganassi Racing to win, and you know, I've let this pole day slip by. I do think that we have a car capable of being as quick as the Penske in qualifying trim, but we were just a couple of steps behind all these days leading into qualifying. So it's, you know, it's great to start on the front row, but it's a little disappointing to be third.
All right, Scott, we're going to go show his entire run, but I know there's some questions that you and Rusty wanted to ask him as well.
I guess they had you covered in qualifying. I did hear you say that you thought you might be able to turn the wick up for them, but they still went ahead and got you on the front row. What about the race? Is that going to be something that you guys have some things set aside to try for race trim, that you think that you have something for those Penske so far?
Yeah, it's something that I focus on a lot, and I think it really helped me last year. Qualifying 16th, I think, was a blessing in disguise, because that's all I focused on. Any piece of traffic that was on the racetrack, the latter days after qualifying day, I was there. I was amongst them all, just seeing how the car would react, what it would do, when it would do it. And I've been doing that, not as much as I would like this month, but I have put my car in those positions, and it seems to be handling pretty well. I want to fine-tune it tomorrow, certainly, but you know, right now I'm pretty happy. I would have liked to have kind of separated the Penskes, kind of spoiled their party a little bit.
Dan, right now qualifying's over, it's finished, it's done, now it's race time, and you won the 500 last year. You obviously know how to do that. Now it shifts, I believe, to probably his teamwork. It's about getting the cars handling. You and Dixon, are you getting along real well? You're sharing information. How's that feel working together with him?
Yes, Scott's somebody that I think is underestimated, and I think he brings that on a little himself because he likes to fly under the radar, but he definitely has a very good car too. You know, we've both been working hard. We perhaps have different approaches. I think my approach with my teammates last year was more similar than what mine and Scott's is, but we you know, each individual is different, and he has one way about getting to his race setup, and I have mine, but I think both of us will be able to perform well. And what the trend that we've seen in a lot of the early races is Penske's been very dominant in qualifying but come back towards us in the race, and I actually think that we've had a better car in a lot of the races that we've been to, whether it be me or Scott. So we're hoping for that trend, but we're going to obviously keep working hard to making sure the car not only is fast, but good in traffic.
Well, let's go back to the season opening event back at Miami. I mean, that was one of the best finishes we've seen in the series history. I mean, can you sort of like guarantee another close one like that for us there?
Well, I would love the same finish, and I'd love to rub it into Helio. But yeah, you just never know. This is such a long race. I don't think it's going to pan out like that. You just can't do what we did there at that track is pretty special. But I think you're going to see an incredibly intense race, and I've got a feeling the pace of it's going to be very, very fast. Certainly, I feel that what Penske did at Motegi is giving an indication of what they're going to try and do here. I think they're going to try and run as trimmed as possible and hope that they can break away before they get to traffic. Well, we're on to them now, and we're not going to let them get away with that, so we'll just have to see how it plays out. But there's going to be other cars as well that feature very, very strongly in this race. You can never discount Tony Kanaan. He's always a contender at this track. He loves this track, and you know, he'll do anything he can to hang on to the back of us. So you know, we're looking forward to it.
Dan, you've been here and you know this place is all about mind games. So when those Penske mirrors came out, did you guys look at that and think, boy, we've missed something here? What was the theme in your guys' team at that point in time when you saw that?
Well, what I said personally is, you know what, Roger's obviously got something else on the car because he's trying to put the attention on the mirrors, and you know he's got something else. So, you know, I credit them with their constant development. That's fantastic, and I think that drives the sport forward, and I think it drives everybody else forward. We as a team, we need to stop letting them out qualify us. We've got to kind of upset their boat a little. Like I do definitely think we can compete with them in the race without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think we're the couple of steps behind that we perhaps have been leading into qualifying. And you know, I'm going to do everything in my heart possible to stop them from winning, because, or anybody for that matter, because what this race has done to me the last year, I don't want it to go. So I'm going to do everything I can.
What do you really think about the mirrors? I know what you think it's a distraction, but there are a lot of people sitting back home. They see just different things. They see something here and they see something there. I know Penske, I don't think he'd do anything unless he thought it was better. Do you think there's an aero advantage to this? Is a guide near around the rear wing in a certain way? I mean, you're a pretty smart guy. I know you know about this more than we do.
Yeah, I think there's obviously an element of that, but as big a deal as people are making about the mirrors, there's obviously something else, and they've obviously got something else that, you know, yesterday I think Sam did 228 running by himself, but he upped it today to a 229, and I think that they're able to just, you know, maximize their package. We haven't been able to do that just yet, but you know, it's obviously something that they're confident in. I'm sure we'll come out with something similar pretty soon. But again, we need to be the ones inventing, not them.
We're going to let you go, but a little bit later in our broadcast, we had some time. Well, actually, Jamie Little had some time down with you on your boat, which was a lot of fun. Don't go away on that. I want to point out one statistic for you, which might make you smile. 9 times the winner of this race has come from the 3rd starting position. That's 1 in 10. That's a pretty good chance for you.
Chip's my boss, and he'll be very happy with that, and he'll be very upset if I don't win. So,
all right, let's talk to the man who's on the number 4 spot, your teammate. He's with Jack Arute right now.
Thank you, Marty. And as we were watching that preview of that little feature with Jamie and Dan, Scott Dixon said, yeah, there's a new joke around the garage area. You like to call him Sonny Crockett?
Sonny Crockett. My advice.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like that. And I wanted to tell a quick story because you want to talk about the rivalries between Team Penske and Team Ganassi. Everybody was all abuzz when those mirrors came out. It took exactly 5 minutes before a website was able to post pictures like this. So even though the Penske people would cover them up throughout the course of the practice and qualifications, there's always prying eyes everywhere. But let's talk a little bit about your run, Scott, because it was, to me, an interesting couple of days for you. You kind of creeped up on things in a very deliberate way, which seems to be your style.
Yeah, I think you know, our team's been strong throughout the month. You know, even starting from the tests that we had, you know, before Motegi. You know, we were both in the top 4 then. We've always been fighting the Penske, I think, here for speed, and it's been the same for the whole month. You know, for myself, it's, you know, I've been a little bit off. I think you know, off the 10-car, even maybe a half a mile an hour throughout the whole month, and we just haven't been able to pick it up yet. But as Dan's been talking about, you know, the whole race setup, I think, you know, we're very strong. We've been working well together on that, and you know, especially with Penske, you know, throughout the first few races this year, I think they've definitely come back to us. So I don't know. I think we're looking very good for the race.
During your qualifying run, how trimmed out were you? How much of a handful was the 10 miles?
Mine wasn't too bad. We were pretty conservative to start with, you know, just to get the first run in the books. And going early, I thought, you know, maybe we'll gain a little bit with track temp and things like that. But the track stayed very consistent all day. At the end of the day, I think we all would have liked to have a bit more practice, go out there and maybe trim the car out a little bit more and see if we could jump Helio. And you know, it was going to be tough to get Sam there, but you know, we would have tried our best. But you know, I think in hindsight, the only guy I think I could have maybe bounced was Dan, and then he probably would have gone out and bounced me back.
That wouldn't have been good.
No, he could have crashed a car.
Rusty?
Question for Scott. My question goes way back. This is for Scott and this is for Dan. I remember the Daytona 24 hours a day. That's where I shift back. My mind shifts all the way back to them. Chip Ganassi, unbelievable, wonderful car owner. You guys, in my eyes, dominated that race down at the 24. Dan and Casey, and it was just an incredible run. Do you guys really? To me, it just feels like you got your mojo going. I know that Chip is so happy with both his drivers. He feels like he's had the best team put together now, and he's had in a long time. And when I saw that car run the way it did in the 24 hours of Daytona, you guys stand in victory lane at the end of 24. That was pretty strong. Then to go on, Dan, to Homestead and win that race like he did, and see Scott run so strong at St. Pete with the wing about half knocked off the front of that car. So you got to feel like you got it going on right now, guys.
I definitely think the team is very, very strong, and you know, personally, we have everything in the IndyCar to be able to out-qualify these guys. We just missed it by a couple of steps. And both, I think Scott and I work well together as a unit, and I think we perform well in the races. So we have the right ingredients. We just got to maximize everything we get out of it. What does he call me, Crockett?
He says he likes to fly underneath the radar, remember?
Yeah, he does.
You're doing all
I
the
guess
talking for
I'm
us.
the opposite. Now it's your turn to speak.
Hey, I've been happy with the years. As you said, though, Dan, I think we just haven't really capitalised on the first few races. We've been very competitive, and I think we could have won, more than just the race you won at Homestead. And with the season being so short this year, we need to really step it up, make sure we get good finishes, and not have these silly little problems take us out of it.
One of the things, though, when we talk about that 24 Hours of Daytona, decision was made by Mike Collin, by Chip Ganassi, to take a lot of your two teams, your IndyCar teams, down there to service that operation. How important was it getting all that chemistry established so early on in the year?
I think it's, the 24-hour for everybody is such a great way to start the year. You get plenty of testing and you're back in the car. You're catching up with drivers that you used to race against when you were younger, and it's for me, it's more laid back. You can relate to people and talk. You've got plenty of time down there to chat with people and things like that. And even for the team and getting them kicked off, to a new, good year, and them winning the race, obviously gives us a lot of confidence and things like that. So, the 24-hour, I loved it. It was a great event, and love doing it every year.
I just want to let you know that if you're going to call your teammate Crockett, that means you're Tubbs.
Tubbs, yeah, come on.
What I'm not sure of, Dan, is who gets the alligator.
When we're sitting up here, I had one quick thought. Not only did you change teams this year, but you also have an engineer that actually has come into the team that's new. So a lot of things that have to sort of work in there. I asked you earlier on in the year how the engineering was going for you, and you said we're starting to really now understand each other and move along. Do you think that's improved, getting better? I mean, Andy Brown is the engineer. I mean, a brilliant engineer.
He's an amazing guy, and I think he has a very, very good understanding of the car and the way the tires and the temperatures and stuff like that. And I very much enjoy working with him. I personally think he's the best engineer in the paddock. But it takes time to gel with one another. And Andretti Green, I saw that with my old engineer, Eddie Jones. We had 3 years, and I literally could come in and he could just look at me and understand what the car was doing. I might have a grim face, and he'd know it was really loose through turn one of the speedway, or I might be really happy, and he could tell that it was good, and I was at the top of the time charts. But we're just taking a little bit of time, and I think he's having, he doesn't know exactly what I need from the car, and I think I'm not quite relaying it to exactly how he understands it, I should say. So we're getting there, but we're not at our full potential.
All right, guys, we're going to let both of you go. You were talking about how close this battle was for the pole by the clock. We always relate speed here, but it was only 1.1 seconds separating Dan from pole position, and that's after 10 miles of qualifying here at Indy. We've got to take commercial break, but don't go away. So much more coming. In fact, when we come back, we'll highlight Danica's day. It's a beautiful evening in Speedway, Indiana, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we are wrapping up pole day, and that was today. Tomorrow's bump day, and it will be time trials concluding with our bump day telecast presented by Capital One on ABC at 1 Eastern, and then continuing on ESPN2 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in to see who rounds out the field and the final day of qualifying. Well, last year was a pole day that was a wild ride for the driver of the number 16, Danica Patrick.
I felt like I had a really fast car all month. I felt like I should have had the pole. I knew going into qualifying that I was not going to leave anything on the table. I just didn't want to qualify second and think, man, the car could have gone flat around turn one. I'm at Indy. That's what you got to do. You got to try. And so when I came into turn one, I just didn't lift. And the car came around in the rear, and I caught it, and it came around again, and I caught it. I'm probably lucky to be as far up as I was, considering what could have happened in the first corner, but at the end of the day, drivers know how hard it is to catch a race car at 230 or 40 miles an hour, and I think I might have earned a little respect as a result.
And of course, Danica Patrick's career in the Indy Racing League, 20 starts now, 3 pole positions last year, 11 top 10s, the 4th woman ever to start the Indianapolis 500. And Joining us here in our broadcast position on the second floor of the pagoda, I think everybody can recognize Danica Patrick on the far end, and I see a smile, and the three of us were noticing that this is the first day you've smiled in a long time with that race car.
Yeah, I can remember how I was at least feeling, which means that's how I looked walking down pit lane at the end of some of these days. So to put our fastest 4 laps together here this month in qualifying feels really good. I was hoping, praying that I would be in the top 10, and I'm in 10th.
All right, let's take a look at your 4-lap qualifying run. We're going to pick it up on the back stretch of the second warm-up lap. You tell us what you're thinking about, and then I'll let you two guys, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this.
Well, for me, this run, I'll just start it off. There's not going to be a lot to say because it's easy. You guys know when a car is good, it's easy. And there was no understeer, which is one of the issues that we've been dealing with all month long. So I put a couple pounds of crossweight into the left front to wrap it around the corner, and that's about it.
And your run was very consistent, all in that 224 range, so that tells you the car is consistent like you're talking about. But when you say putting some left front crossweight into it, I think for the people at home, that's something that you do when you're actually inside the cockpit.
Right.
You're making those adjustments, so you're really feeling the car all the way around the racetrack, trying to make it better when you're driving it.
Right.
Was it to a point where you thought maybe I should have taken a little bit more aero off this thing to make it go a little bit quicker?
You know, we've been struggling all month with taking aero off and losing grip because we just slide then and just go slower or not really any faster. So we've been apprehensive to do that. So we didn't trim out this year as much as we did last year.
We listened on your radio earlier, and you were saying that, yeah, we took some aero off it, and the car just slid around. It was a little twitchy getting in, a little tight off, and it really didn't do anything for you. But in your qualifying effort, and congratulations on top 10, that's got to make you feel a lot better. But was it just a solid, effortless lap, like you said, just wide open, misguided for 4 laps?
Yep.
And you've tried to take the aero off, and it didn't do anything, so you got what you got, right?
That's right. We got what we got. We tried a little bit of a trim out earlier today. It didn't work. Then we tried it again, and it did. So we stuck with the car. We didn't even do a set down to make sure everything was right after practice this morning. We just took the car, taped it up, went down to grid, and qualified it.
Well, one thing I know, I hope you feel the same way. You're talking 500 miles and you're 10th.
Yeah.
That's a great qualifying position.
I like I said, I was just hoping that I would be in the top 10. I thought that would be a great starting position, and we are. And 500 miles, I could start 30th and still do something. So
How did this compare to last year when you qualified 4th?
Well, to be really honest with you, in the context of the situation last year versus this year, I'm a lot happier this year. Last year, it was a pole car. It was fast enough. And, you know, while I give myself credit for not lifting and willing to put it out there and go flat my first lap, there was a mistake, and I caught the car, so that's a good side of it. But also, it didn't reach its optimal position, and I feel like in this qualifying session, I got the most out of the car. We worked so hard this month to make the car better, and we did. So it's a victory for myself and the whole team.
To run 2:22.6, Scott, like she did, and listen to what you're telling us, Danica, how your car is so solid, and you're 10th on the grid, I would think you really got to be feeling good about this 500, because you know you can draft your way up to the front. It's pit stops, a lot of things like that. Are you feeling that good, that the car is that good for the 500?
I am. We filled it up with fuel at one point yesterday, and the car actually had some speed in it, which I was scared of because we'd been trying to peel downforce off of it and go fast, and it would still do like 222 or 222 mid, and I was so mad. And we put the fuel in the car, added downforce, and still did 221. So I think that means it's a pretty good race car, at least, and at least I hope so. The victory in it all will be to have a consistent race car. That's going to be a real battle, and that always is in the race conditions, is to have a car that handles the same to the beginning to the end of the fuel runs and the race.
Let's talk a little bit about Danica Mania. I mean, we get it all the time as you're getting too much coverage. And I keep telling everybody, well, let's see, who else in motorsports has been named to People's Top 100 list? By the way, what happened to you two? Where were you?
We didn't do that.
Not there.
She's a lot prettier.
It was 50 before, so they had to up to 100 for me, but
all right.
I'm in.
But what about it? How distracting is it? Are you still enjoying it? I mean, people are tugging on you left and right.
Yeah. Well, you know, I definitely have had a busy month, and it's going to be a very, very busy week ahead of me here before the 500. It is the most optimal time to do things. It's just that this year, while I might be kind of more used to it and I know what to expect, it's been so much more work on the track, and so I'm tired from that and from the media, and but you have to take advantage of it when it's there. I mean, it's not there forever, and you have to play the part, and you have to still be there for your fans.
One more question before we let you go. Tomorrow, what are you going to do on the track? You going to be out here running?
Yeah, we're going to actually do full tanks. We're going to run some fuel through it. We're going to see how it is in race condition, and for me, I'm going to focus on getting into traffic.
All right.
Always fun.
For everybody who's going to be coming out tomorrow, then at least one car that's going to be running. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of cars that are going to be running on full tanks. So we're going to have a lot of action. So good luck. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you out on the track tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
And out on the track right now is our cutaway car, and Jack Arute's got a point he's going to make for us.
Well, Marty, we talk about qualifying trim. A lot of things are fairly obvious in terms of the wing adjustments, but it's the little things that can make the difference of a hundredth of a mile an hour. I'm holding some what we call helicopter tape. Now, this is like duct tape, but it goes for a rate of $90 a roll. Now, what they do when they get ready is they want to get rid of all the openings, anything that might hurt the aerodynamics. So when you come down, they tape up all these areas with this expensive helicopter tape, trying to close it in. They might go so far as well to take some of the lugs that you'll use to keep the wheels on, use a lightweight, maybe half the size of this one on our Target cutaway car, to try and trim down some of the unsprung wake as we talk about it. Now, when you get over into these areas, they have actual carbon fiber covers that will cover up the fuel areas. But maybe the most important thing that these teams do, and you heard Elio Castroneves talk about the fact that he didn't have as much downforce, let's say, in his car as Sam Hornish did, they lay the rear wing back. When you look in the starting grid, and with the photos that will be shown in a lot of the major newspapers before the running of the Indianapolis 500, look closely at the rear wing area of these cars. Normally, there would be an angle of attack so that this wing would provide some additional downforce. Here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Rusty, we talk about it at Daytona, when you lay a spoiler down, they lay the wing down so that it's a negative angle, trying to get as much of this rear wing out of the air so that they can go faster down the straightaways.
All right, thank you, Jack. And we've got a time for you to test your Indy IQ. You can text message your answer for the following question. Who will win the 90th running of the Indy 500? Will it be Dan Wheldon, A, Elio Castroneves, Danica Patrick, or D, someone else? Text it to 4ESPN. That's 43776 to make your vote. And one of those guys who hopes to be in that other category who wins is Vitor Meira. He had a great run today. We'll talk to him when we come back to our special primetime edition here at Indy. Record speeds are in store for NHRA qualifying tonight. Just east of us over in Columbus, Ohio, Gary Selsey broke the funny car track record. One of 7 that were snapped. 329 miles an hour in the quarter mile. Who's going to take the pole positions? It's all tonight, 10 Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD. And final eliminations tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, joining us now here in our Pagoda booth, the location is Vitor Meira. Last year started 7th. I think you're going to like this numerology. This year started 6th. Last year finished 2nd. What does that mean, Vitor?
There we go. Just do the math. Now finish first.
All right, I've got to ask you, we're going to show some video here right now because earlier today, our cameras caught you out in turn 3 signing autographs or doing something out there with the fans. What was going on?
Well, I mean, they come to us so many times, and once, 2, 3 times a year, it's worth it going to them. And I think they deserve it. They are the ones that make the race. I mean, and as big as it is. And they deserve it too. Instead of they come to us, we go to them sometimes.
So did anybody look dumbfounded saying, what are you doing out here?
I bet all of them, but yeah, but that was, that's the story.
That's great. Let's take a look at Vitor's run, and we'll get it going here in the warm-up. And you're coming to the green right now. And tell us, was there anything that you didn't like about this run from the start?
Not actually. I mean, the car was really good. We could not. We always can improve. but I mean, we couldn't go more than we did. I think we had the car 100% for the time, and for the time also we had spent on it.
Now, this is going to be your 4th start here and 2nd last year. Does that turn around and give you a lot of confidence? Did you learn a lot about what it takes to get to this race, get to the end, and what the car changes need to be along the way during the pit stops?
Yeah, I was very fortunate last year to have a good car and to know what the race and the car wants from you towards the end, which is I mean, honestly, the last 50 laps are the laps that really count, and you have to have the car for those 50 laps. So I really learned to that, and now I know what we want.
Well, Vítor, qualifying's over now. That's all behind you. You're hitting the reset button. What do you feel now? You feel much more comfortable. You're ready to go racing instead of worrying about all that qualifying stuff and hanging it out for 4 laps, because you finished 2nd this race last year. This is going to be your 4th star. You obviously got the talent, and with that 2nd place finish last year, I think you can win this race.
Yes, I mean, otherwise we would not be here. John Barnes and everybody from Panther Racing put the team together to win. That's what they do. It's they go out. We would not be here if we didn't have a chance. And with the experience from last year, and with the Panther and Honda capacity, we definitely can be there.
I want to talk about the statistic that of the top 19 cars, 18 of them are multi-car efforts. You're the only one in the top 19 that is a single car effort. Here you are in the 6th starting position. How difficult is it when you're out there alone?
It is difficult. I mean, with 2 or 3 or 5 cars, at the same time you have the double or triple of the information. But if there is a team that can win with 1 car, it's Panther Racing. They did it many times before. They did it with Sam Hornish in 2002 against Penske with 2 cars. So if there's a team that can do it, they can.
And tell everybody at home a little bit about the fitness level of all these drivers. You're a fitness buff, biking, running, the whole sort of thing, and watching what you eat.
I just finished running half hour ago.
You know, and I sort of suspected that. So, I mean, it's a way of life for all you guys now. So what do you think that helps you with getting prepared for this race?
The physical part of it is only to help mental. I mean, you want to be fit so you don't do mistakes and take 100% of the car instead of worrying about turning the wheel, for instance. This is much more physical than everybody thinks. We are covered. I mean, we have the helmet on, we have suit, and so people don't see us sweating and everything else, but it's very physical up there.
And before I let Rusty ask the next question, Rusty drove one of our cars, and he's been used to power steering, and he got in that car at Homestead and had no power steering. He wore himself out in 8 laps.
Luckily it was in Homestead, not in Sonoma.
That's leading into my next question. When I drove that car at Homestead and I drove off the back straightaway onto the road course, I thought, oh my gosh, these things are really hard to steer. What is the steering, the difficulty of steering here? Is it anything like that, or is the car pretty easy to steer? Has it got a lot of force on it here?
No, it's not as a road course. I mean, we have the caster that helps us turn, and also everything. The car is set up to turn left, and so it's way easier. We don't have as much downforce. The tires are not as soft. Still, though, it's not a power steering, but it's not as hard as a road course at all.
Another question. I noticed the car is unsponsored right now. Is your team looking for a sponsor?
We are working a lot after it, and we have 2 live network partners in Mastercraft, and there's a lot of good possibilities to long-term
Marty,
coming.
with a car that's qualified 7th and unsponsored, this be a real good one to get sponsored.
And I was just going to say, there's an opportunity for Rusty Wallace Racing on the side of that sidewalk.
WR Racing, right?
It will look very good.
It looked good, wouldn't it?
Very good.
All right, Vítor, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. We know you're probably going to be out running full tanks tomorrow like everyone else, so we'll let you get out of here. And by the way, we are going to be doing our workout here in just a few moments after we get off the air. Right. All right. Hey, take a look at this. It was retro weekend here at the Speedway, as it was throwback. That's the 1946 pace car, and they had some beautiful machinery here. And like hot dogs were like 25 cents. It was great. When we come back, we'll focus on Andretti Green Racing. It's not been the kind of year they wanted. All right, let's set the schedule for you of what we have coming up here On tomorrow, which will be bump day, of course, will be on 1 to 3 on ABC, and then 5 to 6:30 on ESPN2. And then Friday will be carb day, 3 to 5:30 p.m. We'll even have the pit stop competition in the Freedom 100 Pro Series race. And then on Sunday, the 90th running at noon on ABC of the greatest spectacle in racing. As you can tell, the fans have headed home. The sun is still setting off into the west. It's time for us to check up on Andretti Green Racing. Here's Vince.
Fifths of the Andretti Green team with Michael Andretti and Tony Kanaan and Bryan Herta. First of all, Michael, welcome back. How was qualifying back at Indianapolis again today?
It was great. It was a little nerve-wracking, you know, the morning. And then when we got out on the track after the first lap, I was real happy. The car was really good. And so it was really good to get it in the field and get all 5 cars in. Not everybody's happy in our camp, but this guy is. But it was good. Everything's been great.
13th on the grid at this point. Is that where you were projecting? Give us an idea where you thought you might have ended up at the beginning of the day.
That's about where. I thought between 12th and 15th, so 13th, I guess I'm pretty much in there. Yeah.
Now, as a driver, you're also team owner, and as you mentioned yourself, there are some of the guys that aren't particularly pleased with the way things worked out today. Maybe trying to put an explanation on that, if you could, from an owner's perspective.
The other guys?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should ask them.
But I mean, from an owner's perspective, you got to listen to them complain about it, right?
Well, if I wasn't driving out there, I'd be thinking they're a bit full of it. But since I've been out there, I'm putting up with all the stuff that they are, and it's tough out there. I mean, the cars are very sensitive, and you're just always looking for that sweet spot, and sometimes you hit it and sometimes you don't. It's just a very little window there, and a couple of us hit it, a couple of us didn't.
TK, you certainly hit it a year ago. You were on pole here for this race, but 5th quick today. Tell us about the difference. I know a year is a long time, but it's not the same 4 laps from minute to minute, much less year to year.
No, and obviously last year we did early in the day, and I had to suffer for 6 hours. Today I was a lot more relaxed and not taken for granted, but I got to thank this whole team, including my teammates and the engineers that help us out to have a good car. And obviously there's probably only one guy that is happy in this team right now, which is me, as far as qualifying goes. But I was telling Bryan that I was looking at the qualifying order, and I was very happy last year as well, and then started 16, and then Bryan starting 16, so he's looking good right now, I think.
You pocketed a little extra cash from one of your teammates today. You took $1,000 from little Marco Andretti, and there's $500. First of all, explain the bet, how you made $1,000 off your teammate today.
A rookie, it's just a rookie, like, well, we bet that I strongly believe that he's going to be the rookie of the year. I mean, the rookie of the Indianapolis 500. And so he said, well, to do that, I got to qualify in front of all the rookies. And he did qualify in front of Townsend all day. And Townsend was going to make his attempt. And he comes all stressed. Oh, you see, he's going to beat me. I said, well, as his name is Townsend, we're going to bet $1,000 that he's not going to beat you. So he didn't. Nothing against Townsend, please. I think the guy is great, but I'd obviously pull for my teammate, and he lost $1,000. But at the same time, I had a side bet with my engineer that if I had start in the top 2 rows, he loves steaks, and I was going to buy him a Kobe beefs, which is they have this special one that he likes that cost me like $540. So I told my engineer to thank Marco now, because I could use that money to pay for the steaks right now.
So you made your engineer happy, and you still came out 500 ahead, and you punked the kid a little.
Yeah, we're going to go party tonight. The kid can't drink, so he's going to stay home, and we're all going to go out.
Make him the designated driver. All right, Bryan, let's talk. You're in the 16th spot, and as TK mentioned, Dan started in that position a year ago. Are you as confident starting in your position this year as Dan was a season ago?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever as confident as Dan is doing anything. I mean, the guy's got a lot of confidence, there's no doubt. But, my teammate Tony definitely, he cheered me up when he told me that. I wasn't real happy with 16th, but, I think, obviously, I started 18th last year and finished 3rd, so we know that it's a long race and anything can happen.
What's the magic about this place that can drive you crazy and also bring you to tears and joy?
I think this place more than anywhere else, it's like golf. No matter how good a lap you run or how good you get your car, the next day you come back and it's just all new again, and it just challenges you every lap you run here, and every day you come back it challenges you, and you just never can get it perfect. I mean, some tracks you feel like, man, you know, that's as fast as I could go, and at Indy, I don't think you ever get to that point. It's just always sort of out there in the distance.
Now you've got the challenge of 500 miles. How can you put it in perspective for the kid there off your left shoulder about the challenge he's going to face a week from tomorrow?
Yeah, he does need to talk. And we've been telling Marco a lot of things this month, and he listens to some of them, which is great, because at 19, you know, usually you know everything. But Marco listens to us, so it's great. And you know, it's a long race, and we know that, and we've been telling him, and I have to say that for the experience he's got and everything, he's come here, he hasn't put a wheel wrong, he's been letter perfect, and he out-qualified me, so I can't really say the kid's not doing a great job.
Now, we've all heard the story about the Razor, about how TK stayed at Marco's place, and then TK needed a shave, and he couldn't, or you needed a shave, yeah. and you couldn't do it because he didn't have a razor. Now,
he didn't have a razor. He doesn't need one.
Now, wait a minute. I want you to. Here's our Bill, our cameraman. I want Bill to zoom in real close. Turn your head to the side, Marco. Now, come in real close. No, come here, Marco. There are a couple of whiskers there. I think we might have broken something. We might have broken a big story here. Marco has whiskers.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a we know he's really maturing and growing up, because 2 nights ago we all went to dinner together, and he sat in a big boy chair. So, so it was, you know, he's growing up so fast right in front of our eyes.
No more booster seat, and we know he carries at least $1,000 in his pocket in cold hard cash too, because he had to pay it to TK today. The Andretti Green team, they weren't all laughing today during various parts of the afternoon, but they're all smiling right now. At least 4/5 of them are.
You know, he didn't even get a word in edgewise. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him here by himself in just a moment. Take a look at some more of the pace cars here as we reset things for you. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's our 3-hour primetime special, resuming pole day. I'm Marty Reid, along with Rusty Wallace and Scott Goodyear up in here in the booth. We got Jack Arute, Jamie Little, Vince Welch down in pit lane. And let's reset the first 3 rows for you as well. Take a look at Sam Hornish, Elio Castroneves, and Dan Wheldon in row number 1.
Very impressive. We knew that Penske was going to be the speed demons this month, and right now Danny Wheldon or Dixon was certainly going to be on the outside of row 1. We thought that. Wheldon was a little bit disappointed, but I think now he's focusing on the race.
All right, and let's talk a little bit also about Andretti Green Racing. Poor Marco. This kid's 19 years old. They're picking on him about 2 whiskers on his face. I mean, but is it really good for him in the long run?
I think it is, don't you?
I mean, he says poor Marco. He's 19. He's racing at the Indianapolis 500.
These guys got to get roughed up a little bit. And Marco Andretti, 19-year-old rookie sensations, a rookie of qualifying out there. I mean, think about it. This guy's standing on a gas, Marty, and it's got a 225 miles an hour. He's a rookie, and he's a young guy, but boy, he's got a big right foot.
Certainly does. Let's talk a little bit about rows 2 and 3 as well, because that's where we will see Marco in row number 3. Take a look at the graphic, as there it is. You've got Scott Dixon, Tony Kanaan, and Vitor Meira.
Very impressive, we said about Dixon. I think the one that stands out here, Tony Kanaan, because Andretti Green, as they said, was going so slow. But Vitor Meira, who he just had on, I think he could be the sleeper here. Here's a guy that finished 2nd last year. He's hungry. He knows how to get the job done. And Rusty, I truly believe that he's going to be sitting back there and waiting for those last 20 laps.
Oh, I totally believe you. He's been on a gas. He knows what he's doing. He's got good runs around here at Indy.
And then here is row 3, Kosuke Matsuura, who has been very quietly effective. His teammate Scott Sharp alongside. And there is Marco Andretti, and he is with Jamie Little.
Well, the day is over. The gun has sounded, and you are officially in the field of the Indianapolis 500 right now. 9th position, Marco. Looking back on the day, take us through what it was like from a rookie perspective.
Well, I guess the good thing was it was everything to be expected. You know, there was no surprises, and that's you know, the key to my day. I mean, the NYSE boys put together a comfortable race car, but still had some speed in it. So that's all I can ask for as a rookie. So, you know, I guess it was a really good day.
What was the biggest surprise?
That's the thing, is I don't think there was. I mean, I was a little surprised. Like, I watched Townsend's run, and I thought he was going to get me, but, you know, I bet $1,000 he was going to get me, but you know, he didn't. So it's a win-win situation for sure, and it went the better way.
And how do you feel right now on the track and in your car as far as looking ahead for the race?
I don't know. I mean, we have a couple more days to feel it out, but you know, I think a couple of my teammates have been working on it all month and haven't even been worried about qualifying. So hopefully we learn something from them, and we, you know, we find something ourselves, and we just need to get comfortable because we've pretty much given up on those speeds. We're not going to catch them, but as long as we're comfortable, I think we have a shot.
All right, so there's the 19-year-old Marco Andretti as he takes his first 4 qualifying laps around this great storied speedway. And there is some of the guys as we're getting ready to talk to the Vision Racing Group when we come back. And the legends talk about how great Indy really is.
Now stay tuned for the greatest spectacle in racing.
There's no race in the world that compares with the Indy 500. To be fortunate enough to win, there's just no greater thrill.
The main thing to me is it puts you on a pedestal.
Indianapolis has something no other track I know of has, and that's tradition.
Ladies and gentlemen,
start your engines.
A lot of stories with Indianapolis 500, and I'm very proud to be one of the stories.
When you win a championship or you win Indianapolis, you just have to pinch yourself.
People see me at Indy throw fits. People see me have a lot of fun. That's what made AJ Foyt.
You know what I like about tennis are the rankings.
Back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the golf course Brickyard Crossing, 4 of the holes are inside the speedway. That's right. Hey, later tonight on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD, it is qualifying for the Pontiac Performance Nationals, 10 o'clock Eastern, and then tomorrow, final eliminations at 8 Eastern. Some great racing action. 7 of 8 track records were shattered. Let's talk a little bit about Vision Racing. This is where they're currently qualified with the 11th, 12th, and 15th spot. Let's talk to the man who is in the 11th position, Tomas Scheckter. He's with Vince.
That's right. Thomas, 11th on the grid, and his cousin Jackie with us as well. We'll talk about a nice combination of Schecters here in a moment. But first, let's address your day. Were you pleased with where you ended up?
To be honest, I think I've been 10th twice and 11th twice, so Indy always qualifying seems to end up in one way for me. I'd like to have gone out and gone a little bit quicker, but to be honest, I'm happy where I'm at. The cars are in one piece. All 3 cars are in one piece, and I think we've, as Vision, as a whole team, we've all done a great job.
Taking a look at your run here, kind of walk us through it, if you will. Any problems there, any issues that you had?
No, the first lap I had a bit of understeer, and I got immediately on the weight jack. I started moving the weight across to the left, which obviously makes the car understeer less, and well, that's really what you want. The less understeer you got, it's freer off the corners, and you get a little bit more speed. And you can see as the run went on, I started getting speed towards the end, and if I started off, I could have maybe done a little bit better average, but overall a good run.
Now, we know your teammate, one of your teammates, Townsend Bell, they withdrew his car. He went back out for a second qualifying attempt, trying to get up the grid a little bit more. And you were lobbying very hard with the rest of the team for an opportunity to go out yourself. Why did they decide against it?
Because I've got the balls and they've got the brains, and that's why they're team management and I'm the driver. And you know, I think obviously it was probably the right choice, but I tried to take off a bunch of rear wing. I wanted to give it a go. I thought this is Indy qualifying, why not? But they thought the better of it, which was most probably the right decision in the end.
Now, your cousin Jackie's standing here, and a great story, folks. Jackie was born with a hearing deficiency. His mother had German measles when she was pregnant with Jackie, so he's dealt with hearing loss all his life. But Thomas helped raise money for cochlear implant surgery for Jackie, and he hears now, and he had that surgery in November. Tell us a little bit about the effort to raise the money to have that surgery done, which was done right here at Indiana University Hospital.
Well, it was unbelievable. The support we got from everybody was great, and you know, just the chance to give a gift, especially to someone in my family, that is possible for them to hear again is unbelievable. Then there was a couple of groups, Gift of Hearing and Care Without Coverage. I mean, 2 great associations that helped us also raise some money, which was great.
And Jackie was telling me earlier today that, you know, hearing is not like flipping on a light switch when you don't hear and all of a sudden you are able to hear. It's not like the switch has just been flipped on. You have to learn how to hear again. Some of the sounds that we take for granted, he is just kind of becoming familiar with, and it's certainly a great story. Jackie, we congratulate you on everything that you've endured to go through it, and how do the race cars sound?
Thanks for congratulating me, but this race car sounds so much better than it was before. It's better with the higher pitch on the engine. It sounds really awesome.
What a great story and a great family assist from Thomas Scheckter. Let's go to Jamie.
Nice piece. It's good to see him there. We have a little special guest here. His teammates are joining me right now. Ed Carpenter, of course, and Townsend Bell. And this is Roscoe. This is Ed Carpenter's big, tough dog that thinks it's a big, strong dog, huh, Ed?
Yeah, it's a little guy. I got a Rottweiler. He stayed at home. He's a little too hard to bring out into the track.
Is he rooting you on today?
Yeah, he's got some friends of ours gave us a checkered. What the heck?
Uh-oh. Do you see this? Look at his teammates running by. Yeah, they were all serious 2 seconds ago. You call them fairies?
Yeah, it looks like fairy.
Let's seriously talk about today, though. Great qualifying effort. This is your third 500. Things are obviously coming together, but last year, Vision Racing was you. It was a one-man band. You guys trying to figure it out. Tell me what the transition has been like to get to this point.
It's been great. I mean, we learned a lot last year. You know, it was a lot smaller effort, just us, and we only had like 13 people last year to our 30-some people now. So we've grown a lot, but I mean, that's the reason we're running better, just more effort and paying attention to all the details, and just a lot more effort into it this year.
I'm going to give you Roscoe, and I'm going to move over to your teammate here, Townsend Bell. He's actually 31 years old, but he's a rookie out there. You can't take that away from you. We've seen you run some races in IndyCar, but here you are at Indy, and you guys are putting in quite the effort. You've been actually on top of your teammates the last week in practice, and then in qualifying today, you actually got the short end of the stick. Take us through it.
Yeah, I was a little careful. Roscoe's shedding, by the way. It was a little confusing today because I just felt like we were going to have a good, strong run, and we got out there and ran 2:23, which is so much slower than we've run, the last couple of days doing the qualifying sims. Then we went back and we thought about it and decided to go out and practice and see what it would do, and really didn't change much. And then we ran like 2:24.9 or 2:25, and we thought, okay, this could be okay. Although we still felt a little soft on the straightaways. Then we got back out and we ran 2:24.3. So I was scratching my head. I think it's just one of these deals. It's Indy and weird things happen.
Well, you gave us some drama. Everybody's watching, Marco Andretti in particular, because he wants to be the fastest rookie today. He wanted to be, so you pull your car out. The whole Andretti camp's going, oh no, is he going to come out and bump Marco? Marco's shaking his head, walking in circles. You put your car back out there. What in your mind, what was your goal?
We just wanted to go out and see if we could move up a few spots. The car felt really comfortable. We even trimmed it out a little bit more, and it wasn't really on the edge, but it felt comfortable. So we just decided, let's do another run. I kind of had to convince the engineering staff to take a chance, but I felt confident in the team. And Rock and Republic and Vision have been so strong all month. We just thought we ought to show what we can really do, and unfortunately, it just came up short again.
Well, you guys show what you could do, and y'all look nice. If you check out these guys, the jeans, the nice shirts, they got all their bosses, their mechanics, everybody's dressed well. You guys are doing a great effort, and I know they're here, Rock and Republic, a new sponsor that's checking out IndyCar. So congratulations. We'll see you out tomorrow practicing.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, Townsend Bell. Guys?
All right, thanks, Jamie. We've still got a lot more coming your way here in our special primetime edition of Pole Day here at Indianapolis. When we come back, we'll take a look back at the decade of the 1990s as we're running the 90th version of this great event. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we're wrapping up Pole Day, and you're looking at the Speedway Hall of Fame Museum. And throughout our 2 weeks so far, we've been looking back. Tonight, we look at the 90s.
The last decade of the century would see a generation of drivers retire, a global influence in victory lane, and as race speeds continued to climb, the closest finish in Indy history. True to form, these 8 winners left their mark. R.A. Lyondike not only became a 2-time winner, but he was also the first of 5 foreign-born winners in the 90s. Brazilian Emerson Fittipaldi would continue the theme in 1993.
Fittipaldi takes the checkered flag.
Jacques Villeneuve became the first Canadian winner with his surprising 1995 finish.
No one has ever come from 2 laps down.
And Swede Kenny Breck finished the decade of foreign influence with his 1999 victory. But the legends were still around. 1991's front row of Rick Mears, A.J. Foyt, and Mario Andretti could be the greatest of all time. And with 4 Andrettis in the race, old names and racing history continued. Rick Mears' pass on Michael Andretti made him the 3rd 4-time winner.
When it's your day, it's your day. What can I say?
Al Unser Jr. would know it was his day the following year.
Goodyear makes a move. Little Al wins by just a few tenths of a second. Perhaps the closest finish in the history of the Indianapolis 500.
Unser Jr. went on to capture his 2nd Indianapolis victory in 1994.
Unser Jr. has won.
In 1996, the split between CART and the Indy Racing League brought new faces to the Brickyard. Buddy Lazier rose to the occasion with a broken back. By decade's end, the retirements of Foyt, Mears, Andretti, and others meant that their legacies were part of Indy lore. But as Eddie Cheever entered victory lane in 1998, his emotions seemed to echo what many of them must have felt.
If you're going to win one race in your life, win the Indy 500.
And that victory for Eddie Cheever is probably one of the things that stands foremost in his mind. A Formula One veteran, certainly has run all across the globe. But I remember that day so specifically, Eddie, that it was so special to you at this racetrack that you certainly grew up knowing an awful lot about.
Oh, I'm an American race car driver. I raced in Formula One as an American for 10 years, and no matter where I went, every May we would all stand behind a television screen and try to figure out who was going to win the 500. And there is so much history in this place. Even if you were racing in Europe, there's the stories of Jim Clark and Stewart and Foyt and Rindt and all these drivers that came here and participated. So an event becomes important when it has a lot of history, and there are very few sporting events in the world, much less the United States, that have the history of the Indianapolis 500.
So you stepped away for a couple of years to form Cheever Racing, and now you're back in the cockpit. Your run today, give me a grade for your performance as a driver.
Geez, a grade. You think my engineers might be listening to this? I would say it was a good C+. You work very hard in qualifying to make sure your car is balanced, and you start taking downforce out. We didn't work very much on qualifying before then, and I got sideways on my warm-up lap, and that kind of took my attention away from trying to keep my foot down. So by the time I cleaned my shorts out and turned into turn 1 at probably 200 and, I don't know, 28 miles an hour, there was a lot of talking to myself saying, look, it's going to stick. And when a car starts to slide at that speed, it gets very awkward. But it was a lot of fun. It's an enormous privilege just to race at this place. So having gone away for 4 years and come back and to put 2 cars in the field, I'm very proud. It was a good day.
A lot of people don't understand what the lure is or what the feeling is when you step away from a sport that you have such a great passion for, such as yourself, and then to come back, and they always say, well, why? Why are you doing it? So let me ask you the obvious question. Why is Eddie Cheever still doing it?
You know that you are the 10,000th person to ask me that question.
I know that.
And I still don't have an answer. I was not bored. I had a lot of things to do. And it wasn't because the other drivers, Andretti and Al Jr. and Buddy Lazier came back and did it. It was just a good opportunity. I think the Indy Racing League is now in a position that it will start to grow again because we don't have those engine wars that we had before, and there's some parity. And I think the parity will be seen more in the race than you've seen in qualifying. Qualifying is a technical exercise where you try to make the car as slippery as you can, and you spend a lot of time, money, and effort trying to get those perfect 4 laps. The race is more grueling. There's 500 miles to cover.
With that in mind, then, how important is experience when it comes to 200 laps, 500 miles here at Indy?
I think it comes down to a variety of things. Obviously, in my case, I will be relying on experience. I don't want to be driving a car on the edge the whole 500 miles, but I think every driver brings what he or she has to the game, and they are just one little piece in the puzzle. There's a whole team behind you. You've got to have pit stops and strategy and when to come in on the yellow and when not to come in and how you want to set up your car. And there's just so many different facets that you have to look at that it becomes an incredibly difficult 3.5 hours. And if you get one thing wrong, you're out. So to win, it takes a lot of different stuff.
And certainly he does know how to win, guys. I do want to share with you one moment just a couple of minutes ago when Eddie showed up. He wanted to remind me that it's not everybody that he would show up for it this late in the evening, and yet for us here on ESPN, he has said and agreed to join us, and I thank you for that.
And I was having a bowl of pasta, and I was just starting a glass of wine when they called me and said you were waiting for me. So
get back to the wine.
You think it's still there?
Yeah, no, but I'm sure I can find you a bottle, Eddie.
It's good seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys?
You know, that's what's great. I mean, we talked about it last week when we had racers sticking around 4 hours to sign autographs and stick with us. It's just a great bunch of guys coming back. Back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the sun continues to set as pole day is over here at the 90th running of this greatest spectacle in sports. And boy, take a look at our votes so far. Here was the question: who will win the 90th running of the Indy 500? Dan Wheldon, Elio Castroneves, Danica Patrick, or D other? And right now, the others have it by more than 54%. All you have to do to text your vote, dial 4ESPN. That's 43776, and we'll update those results a little bit later. Joining us now is the other half of Cheever Racing, Max Papis, known as Mad Max, which was, what was it, about 11 years ago, Max? You got that reputation when you were running that last couple of hours in the Rolex 24, and you were doing qualifying laps.
Absolutely. I had it there in 1996, and it's still with me. Same passion, same motivation, and it's just great to be here in Indy.
Hold on a second. We've got a bit of a mic problem. That's one of the problems we have from time to time when we go with live. So zoom the camera in or take a shot, and now the crew will come in and try and fix the microphone as we get ready to talk about Max. We'll check in now with Vince Welch.
Well, standing by with Kosuke Matsuura, and we can tell you that Kosuke had a very good day today. Not only did he qualify 7th quick, but then he went across to the Brickyard Crossing Golf Course and shot an 88. So I'd say that's a pretty good day all the way around, right? Yeah, Scheckter honking the horn at our crew to get us out of the way. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, tell us about, we'll talk about golf maybe another day, but tell us about your racing day today. Were you pleased with 7th on the grid?
Yeah, I think which is good result. You know, first time we ran, you know, the other chassis with, you know, this speedway, and you know, 7th is, I think, my best result, and in a third row inside. I think we should be very, very happy.
You were here in the Panos last year. Yeah. Now you're here in the Dallara chassis. What's the difference that you feel?
Well, in the Panos, I think in a Panos car is a little bit advantage for the qualifying, but didn't much, you know, gain for the you know, long race, like in the traffic things. But you know, Dallara is, I think the race is good. Even the qualifying was good. So like you know, 7th, and my teammates got finished 8th. So I think you know, Dallara car is a little bit better than the Panos car. So I'm really happy to work with, you know, Dallara car.
Congratulations on a good day today all the way around at the racetrack and the golf course, and well done, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. See you.
All right, thanks, guys. As a smiling Kosuke Matsuura, let's take a look at our pole day summary. If you're just tuning in, Sam Hornish Jr. gets his first ever Indianapolis 500 pole, just a tick under 229 miles an hour. His teammate makes it an all Penske team affair, Helio, by 67/100ths of a second. That's the difference after 10 miles. And then it was Scott Dixon and Dan Wheldon. Dixon in the number 4 spot, Dan Wheldon in the number 3 position for Target Chip Ganassi Racing. And then what about Danica Patrick? Well, Danica was able to also do her best, saving it for her 4 qualifying runs, as it was a 10th place start, and that was the 4 best laps she has put together here at the Speedway all month long. Now, we've got Max's microphone fixed. He'll be joining us when we come back here to Indianapolis as we continue our primetime special on pole day. Back at Indianapolis, we're at the Speedway. In fact, that's the infield portion where the Formula One track is. It's Armed Forces Weekend. Bring the kids if you're in the area because they get to climb all over the equipment. The only thing you can't do is try and fly them. That could get you in a spot of trouble. We want to talk about what's going to be coming up tomorrow here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It'll be Bump Day, our telecast presented by Capital One on ABC at 1 Eastern Time, and then the final hour and a half on ESPN 2 starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, that all leads leads up to 1 week from tomorrow, the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500 telecast presented by Capital One. We start it with our pre-race show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and we hope you will be with us because it's going to be a great spectacle once again. All right, we've got Max's microphone fixed. We want to go back to 1996 because I want to give you a chance to talk about that. You came on to the American race scene. You were driving for Jean-Pierre Moretti. You're
Absolutely.
Italian, and you were running qualifying laps at the 23rd hour of the Rolex 24 and came in second, and you were closing.
You know, Daytona was a unique track, made up my name, and Mad Max stayed with me all the way up to here to the qualifying of the Indianapolis 500. I mean, it's just an honor to be here, and I'm really, really honored.
All right, this is your second 500 that you're going to race in. Let's take you back to a couple of his laps. Talk about the fact you only got in this car briefly. I mean, this was, what, 60 laps?
You know, I had barely 65 laps before the qualifying effort, and I tell you, the Sport Clips car ran really, really good. You know, we never really trimmed it out a lot because we were more on the safe side than what we should have been. But you know, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to get a good car. We worked more on race pace than anything. And I tell you, I was really, really proud of all my guys. You know, Eddie Cheever gave me a good opportunity to be back here. It's a great, I mean, it's Indianapolis 500. You know, it's awesome.
You've got a lot of guys in the team that you've worked with before, even Ian Watt, which is the engineer. Have you thought about Eddie's reported to be stepping out after this race, after the Indianapolis 500? Or is there some thought in your mind that maybe there's an opportunity for Max Papis for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, you guys kept me reminding on that, and actually I went over and I asked Eddie, you know, I'm focusing on Indy 500. I want to show Eddie and everyone that Mad Max is back. You know, I have a lot of fire. And whatever is going to come after this, it's going to be welcome. You know, I'm actually really focused and honored. I want to take the Sport Clips car right there in the front, and we work good on race setup. I tell you, that car is going to be up there. You know, I feel very comfortable.
Max, you've never been gone. I've never seen a driver in my life that's been so multi-talented as you are. Drive stock cars. You drove 24 hours a Daytona, Indy cars. I'm surprised Don Perdomo has not called you to drive his drag car. But
thank you. It's an honor. Thanks.
Oh, you bet.
From you?
It's a second start for you here at Indy. You've qualified 18th. You're in, man. It's got to be an incredible feeling to be Indianapolis 500. But talking about feeling, we were talking earlier about the way these cars drive. I mean, to throw you in this thing, brand new, and you pull off what you did was an amazing feat. But tell me about the way they feel. You were talking about that earlier.
I had butterflies in the stomach, before just sitting in the car. I didn't know, how long it could take actually for me to go flat out. And I said, by lap 15, I'm gonna keep it pedal to the metal on the floor. And I actually ended up doing that on lap 12. I surprised myself. I was, 218 on lap 15, and I mean the effort on the steering wheel is amazing. It was a lot more than what I remember. And I mean, I tell you, after the first day, I was a little bit tired. It was a lot more than what I was expecting. But I mean, this IndyCar here, they're really, really good. They're stuck. Of course, when you take the downforce off, the car gets a little bit edgy. We didn't reach that level yet, but. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of mental and physical effort. It's going to be definitely a short 24-hour race. Let's put it like that.
Max, let's take you back. We had some video from one of the practice sessions a little earlier. And take us through what you were actually trying to accomplish here. This was not really an error on your part. You were coming into pit lane.
Absolutely. We were out there during today, actually, doing some long runs with me and Eddie, swapping position and being in the back, Eddie in the front, and the same thing. And I was actually trying to see how late you could break in pit in. It's going to be very crucial coming Sunday race. How late you can, you can step on the brake. You don't have to lock up the brake. You need to be able to modulate the speed, and it's not going to be that easy. You're going to be out of turn 4, 220 miles per hour, and you're going to be 60 miles per hour in pit lane. It's going to feel like, that I'm going to be walking when I'm going to be, down in pit lane. But in those seconds, if you think about it, how much you can gain or lose on the racetrack, you can gain seconds, coming in pit lane. It's going to be really important.
And it can be the most costly speeding ticket you ever get, because if you have to come back in for the penalty, it could cost you the win, which is a little over $1 million and change. So, yeah. All right. We're going to thank you so much, and good luck next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
When we come back, it will be Scott Sharp and the team. As there are his kids out on their bicycles having some fun while Dad's getting ready to go do some more work with us here at Indy.
Well, you just don't know what Indy means.
It means coming down the front straightaway going into turn one. Just the long straightaway, the speed, the excitement of it all.
It's hard just to say one word. Well, what is Indy for you? Amazing. When you come here, you have to come here to know what is Indy.
And when you think Indianapolis 500, you think emotional, you think milk, you think tradition, history, atmosphere at the speedway.
Speed, courage, American history, a lot of different drivers. The same play that's played out and every time, just different people, different actors.
It's not one thing. It's a combination of a lot of things that we race to be able to win races and to break records and to be part of history. And Indianapolis is history.
That's our cutaway car. It won't go very fast, but it helps us explain things from time to time here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And you're saying, wait a minute, what's the music all about? Well, we're going to take a look back at the great history of this track to the 1930s.
The Great Depression of the 1930s posed a challenge to the high cost of racing at Indianapolis. The challenge was met, and the Speedway saw a legend confirmed and traditions created. Hard luck Harry Hartz, who finished second 3 times without a win in the 20s, managed 2 wins as an owner in the 30s, the first with Billy Arnold, who led all but 2 laps in 1930, a record that still stands. In 1932, 26 cars failed to finish. Hartz's entrant, driven by Fred Frame, survived for the win. In 1934, the field was again limited to 33 cars. Fuel economy was king. In the closest margin of victory to date, Bill Cummings averaged 14 miles per gallon, edging out Maury Rose by 27 seconds. The new Offenhauser engine won its debut thanks to driver Kelly Patillo in 1935. Despite new safety measures, the addition of warning lights and required crash helmets, 4 men lost their lives that May. Louis Meyer won again in 1933, and in 1936 he became a legend as the first 3-time winner. Meyer refreshed himself with buttermilk in Victory Lane, and Axe Dairy executives vowed to make a Brickyard tradition. Meyer was the first to be presented the Borg-Warner Trophy upon winning at Indianapolis. In 1937, Wilbur Shaw made his first win, the closest to date. Second place Ralph Hepburn finished within 2.1 seconds of Shaw, obliterating the 1934 record. 2-man cars were again made optional in 1938 and quickly became history. In an all-single-seat field, sprint car ace Floyd Roberts won from the pole. In 1939, Louis Meyer led 79 laps, but a late race spin and his retirement from driving following the race would prevent a 4th victory. The last 500 of the 30s was won by Wilbur Shaw, his second Indy crown. Shaw's eyes looked towards the future and to matching Meyer's record, 3 Indy wins.
And as we take a look at some of the statistics from the 1930s, remember it was 42-car field back in 1933. Of course, now the tradition is 33. And the speed, look at that, 130 miles an hour at 1937. And today, we went just about 100 miles an hour faster. That's an old Studebaker and one of the pace cars. When we come back, we'll talk to one of the men who's in the field, Scott Sharp. Back here at Indianapolis at the Speedway, where a week from tomorrow we'll have the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500. Today it was pole day, and we bring in Scott Sharp, who is in the field once again very solidly. But I want to go back to 2001 because you sat on pole here at that race, but yet it was not the kind of race that you ended up wanting to see happen, was it?
No, it was high and low emotions, that's for sure. You know, it was a great qualifying and fun to sort of surprise everybody and put forward just, terrific laps together. And unfortunately at the start, it was a real cold day from what we'd had a warm month, and just tried to back out of it, going into one, recognizing that, and I guess not enough. And once I got the left rear tire over onto the line, the car just snapped on me. So that was a bit of a bummer, but you learn from it, and 2 weeks later we moved on, won the race in Texas, and haven't really looked back.
Well, don't look at this video then right now. But one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is because this is not something that just happens every now and then. Take a look at this. Back in 1985, it happened to Pancho Carter. Remember, Roberto Guerrero didn't even get as far as you did. It happened on the pace lap for him. Billy Boat, Ari Lyondike, Greg Gray, Scott Sharp, and Bruno Junqueira all on this list. And look at how many times it's happened since like 1998. So maybe the poll is not as blessing as much as we all think.
I guess you're making me more happy to be 8th.
Well, yeah, right. But now you feel really good about being 8th.
Yeah, that's good. The odds are helping me, I guess.
Are you really happy with 8th, though? I mean, I asked you a little bit ago, you seemed sort of disappointed, but when I spoke to you the other day, you said, you know, I don't think that we really have a car for the front row or two, but, you know, we'll take whatever we get. But, you know, does the juices get going, the competitive juices here in the morning?
You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the emotion of pole day. It's exciting. It's fun. I mean, it's, you know, the highs and lows, you're stressed out, but at the same time, it's exhilarating to pull out the great laps. So I think it's easy for everyone to get into that. At the same time, you know, 1 week from now when the green flag drops, other than maybe the guy who's on the pole, no one's going to ever remember. I mean, positions are going to move right away, so it's not even going to matter really where you qualified.
So were you considering on pulling the car out then? Did that go through your mind? Did you have a conversation with the team?
I walked back to the garage and I said to Tom Anderson, hey, you know, we missed a little bit. And I said, you know, why don't we try to go? But when you look at the chart there, I wasn't going to really improve a lot. You know, maybe I could probably get ahead of Kosuke, and we have to put 4 great laps together to grab Vítor. But we certainly weren't going to go any farther than that. It just wasn't worth the risk.
All right, here is your run. We're in the beginning stages of lap number 1. Was there anything? Actually, we're in lap number 3 as we pick it up. Thank you, guys. And was there anything that was not expected in the cockpit?
Just, it was perfect. I mean, it was solid. It was too easy, really. You know, I was wide open 4 laps in a row, just with ease, trying to trim out the car, make it as free as I could make it, try to get as maximum speed out of it. You know, we ran a little quicker in the morning warm-up and tried to do a few things, hoping we could maybe stretch that, and instead we lost about a half mile an hour each lap. So
we talked to a lot of drivers that actually, you know, took downforce off the car, laid the wing back, so to speak, or whatever, and they've actually slowed up. So the car didn't get loose or anything. It just took it out of the racetrack, didn't have the grip, and just couldn't run as fast as they wanted to run. Did you experience that?
We were actually the opposite of that. You know, we were sliding around a lot in the morning and using up a lot of track, and we said, geez, you know, maybe if we add a little bit more downforce, we'll actually gain a little bit of speed. And instead, it sort of slowed us down a little bit.
Well, you know, Scott picked you for the front row. I just want to let you know that. Earlier in the week,
I told you I wasn't going to be on the front row.
It was a Scott
I know
thing,
how
man.
you are. I mean, it's just like, you know, you want to go faster all the time. So I thought they were really holding something back. He just wasn't being truthful.
No, every time we see him run, he's solid. He's up there in the front all the time. You know, I look at all these tracks I've been to. I'm new to this game now. You guys know that. But every time I watch that guy, he's solid, always up going.
You and Kosuke both. You haven't made a lot of headlines throughout this entire month, but both of you have consistently been in that top 5 to 12 range. What does that bode for this team heading into race day?
I think we're sitting really well. You know, we came into the month and we said to ourselves, hey, you know, the Dallara is really new to our team. It really is. You know, I mean, especially our car. You know, we got it going into the Homestead race. I mean, the Delphi guys thrashed just to get the car done in time. So we haven't had the chance to do all the little different projects I think that maybe, you know, the top 2 teams have done to really get a lot of extra speed out of the car. So for us to come in here and waste days or miles and run in qualifying, that's not going to give us the benefit you want from it. I mean, we've set ourselves up, I think, for race day. Not today. So I was hoping, you know, we could maybe get in the second row, maybe the best spot for us really would have been 5th or 6th. But, you know, we're 8th. We're in good spot. Great people are around us. I'm really not worried about it. I think we're going to be in good shape.
And for the viewers at home, we should explain that you were in one of the Panos chassis, much like the Target Chip Ganassi guys were last year. They went to a Dallara, and then all of a sudden you guys decide that you wanted to do it. Has that been a great move for you? Do you really think that maybe the Dallara is a chassis to have for the complete season, or maybe just Indy, or how's your feelings on that?
Well, I think we moved to it for the big high bank tracks. You know, for what we saw, and certainly what happened to us last year, is when it got to the big tracks where you're 3 abreast and the pack's 2 or 3 rows deep and you're in the middle of that, it just seemed like the Panos really lost the front of the car so much worse than the Dallaras. And the 3 different Panos teams were always fighting that. And those types of tracks comprise so much of our schedule that it made most sense to go to the Dallara, and from what we saw at Homestead, that it works quite well. So naturally, you want to come and bring that bring that here to Indianapolis. But you know, you're against teams like Penske who've been and Andretti Green who've been for 3 or 4 years running the Dallara, and they got a book that thick full of data. So we're the Delphi guys have done a great job. We had a good week, and we've been focusing on the race. I mean, until last night, you know, an hour we ran last night in qualifying trim, you know, we hadn't done any qualifying. So to be where we are, I think we're in good shape.
Now, know what you know about the Panos, know what you know about the Dallara. You talked about the differences, but is it an aero issue only? Are the pivot points all different on the Panos versus the Dallara, or a combination of both?
There's difference, no doubt. I mean, you can't take the setup you ran on the Panos and put it on. I think certainly structurally there's difference, strength-wise there's different, but our opinion, and we came and had a really strong month here last year with the Panos, and I think I've been surprised to see some of the Panos teams struggling as much as they have here this month, because I think on a, you know, Indianapolis, let's face it, it's a single groove racetrack pretty much. You don't see guys run around here side by side. And in those kind of settings, we felt the Panos was a pretty good car. It's more, you know, when you get the big turbulence from the big packs. So, you know, from that perspective, I think certainly from an aero perspective, we looked at it more than anything.
Well, before we let you go, we'll send you off on a positive note since we sort of beat you up
thanks,
on the
Marty.
poll
I was
deal.
really appreciative of you bringing that wonderful moment up again.
You said you had one more question.
Actually, I do have one question. Not only was there the change in chassis this winter, but you guys, didn't you make a change with the complete Delphi crew?
We
moved
did.
over to the
We did.
Panasonic crew. How does that working out for both you guys
I
now?
think it's working out pretty well. You know, we had a great year last year, no doubt. I mean, I came in, I think, you know, won a race, finished in top 5 in points, had a lot of momentum, and Tom and Adrian, you know, they decided in the off-season that they wanted to sort of mix things up a little bit and see if we couldn't get both sides running a little bit better. And so it's a little bit like starting over, even with a new chassis and a new crew. It's like, but it's gone well. John Dix, my engineer, very experienced. You know John, he's won a couple of these Indy 500s, and we've had a really good month working together, and the crew's hungry, and I'm hungry, so I think it's a good atmosphere.
All right, now we'll send you off with the positive note, because you're starting 8th. If you win from that position, you'll join some very exclusive company. 1985 winner Danny Sullivan, and 1999 winner Kenny Breck. Not a bad club
Sounds
to
good.
be in.
Car 8, starting 8.
There you go.
Give you a little bit more numbers to play with there.
All right, we love that numerology around here. All right, we promised you at the beginning of the broadcast that Elio was going to take us on a tour of the racetrack in the tour bus with the princesses. It's coming up when we come back.
I'm going to be the tour guide going around the track, which I have some nice guests. Follow me, I'm going to show who are the guests. Hello, girls. Hello. That's what I'm talking about.
Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for our special edition as we recap the pole day experience here. And we want to also tell you about what's coming up tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern over on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD, because we have final qualifying for the Pontiac Performance Nationals. 7 out of 8 track records were broken yesterday in the first 2 sessions, 2 more today, and then final eliminations. You'll see that 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN2 and ESPN2 HD. You see that number 3 in the number 2 spot? That's Elio Castroneves. We promised you he'd take us on a tour of this facility. Oh, hold on. You better fasten your seatbelt.
Hi, today I'm over here, one of the special places here in Indianapolis. It's the tour bus. Basically, I'm going to be the driver, and I'm going to be the tour guide going around the track, which I have some nice guests. Follow me, I'm going to show who are the guests. Hello, girls. Hello. That's what I'm talking about. I guess this is a break, and I guess this is the drive. Hi, buddy. How you doing? Oh, here we go, just in case. See? He doesn't look very happy. That's okay. We're going to turn 3, and this place here is very important because in 2002, I was leading the race, and Paul Tracy was second, and yellow was on. I lift off, and Tracy kept going. And there was a big controversy because everybody thought that he won, but actually he only passed me because I lift off. Come on. PT, come on, man. Do you think I would let you go like last lap outside? Come on. You know what? I think we should go and have a quick stop on the brickyards. I mean the brick. Yeah. But I remember in 2001 on the fence, I didn't know that you're so close to the fans, and the expression that you can see in the face, you know, of them, it's amazing.
Tony Stewart with NASCAR, do you think he's trying to copy you? How do you feel about that?
Good question. Tony Stewart, let's have a talk here, buddy. Well, no, honestly, I don't mind people doing that because they should enjoy, they should have fun. That's when I do it. That's what I'm doing, you know, I'm having fun. All right, we're moving again, and you guys ready to go home? I mean...
Do you get a lot of speeding tickets?
Next question. Yes, unfortunately I do. I think I drive really well in Miami, but the police don't think so. So, but I'm always late, and that's the problem, you know?
So, Elio, do you have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do. Oh, you're so nice, people. I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. You like it?
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thanks, Elio.
See you next time.
Hands off the wheel. He's trucking around. There's the fence that he climbs when he wins here at Indy, and he's made that some very legendary traditions. I want to talk, Rusty, maybe we could get your old buddy from NASCAR, Dale Jarrett, to bring the UPS truck, and he and Helio could, you know.
Well, he might bring the UPS truck over here and race Elio, but I don't think he'd get all the gals like Elio got. What do you think, Marty?
All right, it's the top of the hour. If you're just tuning in, we're here with a primetime special edition of Pole Day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Sam Hornish Jr. has taken the pole, his first of his career, and here is the last lap of his run, just a tick under 229 miles an hour. You can see the crawl of everybody else on the top part of the screen. This was just an incredible run.
And this wasn't unexpected. We certainly thought that the Penske guys would be up top, followed very closely by the people here at Ganassi Racing, and I'll tell you what, we just didn't think that we'd have that much of a gap to second place, and I think he's really been in a class all his own this month. And you know something, a lot of guys have said he's walking with a little bit of that swagger, and maybe this is the year that he actually gets the monkey off his back, because he's not had success here so far in his career, Rusty.
He hasn't had success yet, but he definitely knows how to do it. He's very, very good. If there's any pole position you could probably predict, it was this one. Hornish was so solid the whole entire month. His car was just gripped so good. And you look, guys, you look at the fit and finish on the Penske cars, how shiny they are, how the rivets are all flush. Just the little bitty things got him right above the edge, I really believe, guys. I really like the way those cars were looking.
Well, it's all Penske, numbers 1 and 2, Target Chip Ganassi, and positions 3 and 4. We still have a lot more coming your way. There's the pylon. One position to fill. We'll do that tomorrow. Back here at Indianapolis at the Speedway, where pole day is setting with the sun, and we're in the racing capital of the world, and it has been an eventful day. 32 of 33 positions are filled on the pylon as it lights the night sky. The number 6 on the pole. It's the 6th time the number 6 car has been at the top of that pylon. Best finish, though, was 1969. As we take a look at the front row, A.J. Foyt finished 8th. Yeah, he actually drove car number 6. There's our top 3 as we take a look now at row number 2.
No surprise with Scott Dixon being on the inside. We knew it was either going to be a Penske or Ganassi first 4. Tony Kanaan certainly has improved their time since they arrived here. They thought they were off the pace just a little bit. And I think maybe one of the surprises for the small teams, Vitor Meira with the Panther Racing team, was a bit of a surprise to get there on the outside of row 2.
Kosuke Matsuura in row 3. He doesn't surprise me at all. This guy stands on the gas every single week, guys. He's not afraid of anything. Scott Sharp just left us a little while ago. Scott's been solid the entire year. Marco Andretti, 19-year-old rookie sensation, got the rookie honors today for a great qualifying run. We expect things out of him. Calm, cool, and collective. Real surprise with him. Good job.
Well, when we first came back, we talked about A.J. Foyt being on pole in car number 6. There's his driver this year, Felipe Giaffone, and we'll talk to him here at Indy when we return. Back here at Indy, the last time they repaved the racetrack, they extended the yard of bricks all the way to the pagoda. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of fans we have watched from our position in the pagoda kneel down and kiss that yard of bricks. Let's set the rest of the rows, or at least 4 more of the rows for you as nighttime continues to fall. We'll pick it up in row 4 with Danica Patrick, Tomas Scheckter, and Ed Carpenter.
In row 5, we have Michael Andretti, which was a bit of a surprise. Thought he would go quickly. Buddy Rice and Townsend Bell.
Row 6, you got Bryan, Herta, and Dario Franchitti. Now, Dario wasn't happy today. Pretty mad guy, but I think he'll cool down and be just fine at a 500. On the outside, Max Papis.
And then in row number 7, it's Eddie Cheever, PJ Chesson, and the man we're going to talk to now, Felipe Giaffone. He is with Jack Arute.
Well, Marty, and he drives for the legend, A.J. Foyt. Felipe Giaffone, of course, one of the boys from Brazil. And what a difference a year makes. Remember, a year ago on this very evening, Felipe Giaffone had gotten his ticket for he and his wife to go back to Brazil, was not able to secure a ride, and then you went shopping on Sunday morning, decided to go to Babies R Us, and you got a phone call from AJ. And as they say, guys, the rest is history now, as you're the full-time driver of Foyt's ABC supply car.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think, the toughest day on my whole life, you know, and I think it really worth it. You know, if I'm here today, it's just because of that day.
What have you learned with your tenure at AJ Foyt Enterprises that you didn't know about Foyt before that?
You know, it's been great to be with him because, as everybody, I always heard a lot about him and a lot of the good things and also the bad things, you know, and it's just, I mean, he's such unique guy, you know. I think he's a special guy. He has his own way to see things, you know, and we're having a good time.
Well, on this run, this was a pleasant surprise for you after a Friday that left you with a furrowed brow and really wondering what you were going to do today. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think we just did okay. Yesterday we had a really tough day. I think it was one of my toughest day here in Indianapolis. We just didn't get the car going really well. And a lot of loose moments, oversteer all the time, which is, I told AJ I've never got loose so many times without crashing, you know. And so we went through that, and this morning, like yesterday, they found something in Larry's car, and he started to go a little quicker, and then this morning we went to this, basically the same setup and that they're trying towards to the end, and it worked better. We just ran out of time because I think we should have had to go with less downforce. The car was fairly comfortable in the qualifying, so it was just a shame that we had too much downforce.
Talking about Larry Foyt, of course, AJ's son that is in the field along with you in the 41. Having a teammate and having an AJ Foyt as really your owner, and let's face it, he's also the engineer, the chief mechanic, the chief cook and bottle washer, and the you-know-what kicker if you don't get the job done. How important is it to have a teammate like a Foyt to be able to run things back and forth with?
No, it's been great because, I mean, it's a tough job. I mean, like yesterday or 2 days ago, AJ was actually engineer both cars. You know, he was like doing some things in one car and then some other stuff.
That can get scary, you know.
No, but I mean, he's actually he was doing pretty good. You know, we're just like trying different things, and that's what I think it's the most important thing. You know, like having Larry here, and the good things that he feels the same. I mean, whatever I feel, he feels. So when I feel it's good for him, or when it's bad for him too. So I think it can help us for race day.
Guys, I want to tell you one thing. The first thing that you have to learn when you go to work for AJ Foyt is how to speak Texan. You ought to hear this guy talk Texan with a Portuguese accent.
The other thing you have to do is run fast if you see him coming at you with a wrench. Felipe, thanks. We've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, there is Jacques Lazier. Don't go away. We'll talk about his day at the Speedway. A beautiful view of the Indianapolis skyline as the evening has fallen here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as the pagoda lit up as our cutaway car is down on pit lane. Boy, it's a beautiful sight. There is the starters platform where one person hopes to see the checkered flag first. Well, actually, 33 will hope to see it. Only one will actually get to see it. Let's set up row number 8 for you. As here they are. Jeff Bucknam will be on the inside, then Larry Foyt and Jacques Lazier on the outside. And Jacques is with Vince Welch.
Appreciate Jacques inviting us into the motorhome. Just kind of taking it easy today, and congratulations making the field for the 500. And we saw your qualifying speed. Was it a good day for you, or did not quite get out of it what you were hoping?
Well, I think you always want to get more out of it, and I think we felt like we could have. But, you know, honestly, we came here to race. We didn't come here to qualify. And we knew, obviously, being a second weekend program, that we were going to be a little lacking on time on track. And you obviously at that point with the limited amount of tires and the limited amount of miles we can put on the engine, we had to stay real focused on just being real deliberate with what we did.
And this is a one-off program, and as we're looking at your qualifying run, you've only turned about 100 laps here all month long. That's amazing. Congratulations on getting it done in that short amount of time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, that's kind of like the story of my life here at Indy. It's we've never been able to get a lot of miles in, but you know, the car feels good. It's the same, obviously the same chassis for the same team that we ran last year, and you know, we're gonna take the momentum from last year. We started 27th, moved up to the top 10, and we had a really good car for the race. And if we can duplicate that, we feel that we can have the same type of results as we had last year.
How difficult is it to come here on a one-off program? I know you were saying earlier you were doing a lot of adjusting of the car during the course of your qualifying run and kind of going on the fly.
It is difficult because you really only get a chance to do one, maybe two qualifying sims before you go into the actual qualifying effort, and so that's difficult because obviously you don't have a chance to do multiple qualifying attempts during different days when the track weather is a certain way, and you kind of fall behind the eight ball, so you kind of have to take a guess at it. But you know, I'm very proud of everybody at Playa del Racing. They've been working very diligently, and we had a very good run today.
You've been a full-timer in this series, and now you're in a situation where you're doing a one-off here, maybe some more down the road, but what's the greatest challenge of coming into Indianapolis, first race of the season, and trying to make something happen?
Well, I think the greatest challenge is just getting focused on what you have to do. It's a very long race. You have to, I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in the pole run and get caught up with we have to go faster each day, and you can very easily chase the track, chase weather conditions. You have to stay very focused on your game plan and exactly what you and the team have decided you want to do each day. And just, you know, stay focused, forget about everything else that's going on, and just try to maximize your program.
Your dad raced here, your brother raced here, you're racing here. We saw your son there before the commercial break. Will he be racing here someday?
You know, if he wants to, I would love for him to race. Obviously, racing has been very, very good for our family, my brother and myself, obviously my father as well. And if my son wants to get involved, I would love for it. I'm not going to push him. When he shows an interest, I will obviously support him 100%.
Jacques Lazier, one of the all-time nice guys here, that's for sure. We always enjoy visiting with Jacques, guys.
All right, thanks, Vince. And Jacques out-qualified his brother by 1 position. When we come back, we're going to explain the bump day process. Danica Patrick will give us a guided tour through the entire process.
What's the deal with all this Indy qualifying? I mean, it's just cars going around and around in circles. Why does it get so complicated?
It's not that hard to get, boys.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so pretty, even at nighttime, all lit up with the pagoda on the left, the tower, the pylon, and even our cutaway car. Here's our schedule. Sunday, May 28th, 1 week from tomorrow, the Indianapolis 500 telecast presented by Capital One. We start it all at noon Eastern Time. But before we get there, tomorrow we'll have Indianapolis 500 Bump Day presented by Capital One at 1 Eastern Time on ABC. And then Indy 500 Bump Day moves over to ESPN 2 at 5 Eastern Time. Now, with all the confusion created by last week's rainouts, a complicated qualifying process was washed away. Well, Bump Day is going to be here tomorrow. Who to explain it better than Professor Danica Patrick?
Hey, Danica. Hi, Danica. John Ford's here. Hey, Danica.
Hi, Danica. It's Jimmy Kimmel.
Hi, Danica. Hey, Danica.
Hi, Danica.
Hey, Danica. Ron Capps here.
This Indy qualifying thing, this is cars going around in what, like circles? It seems very complicated. Is it?
It's pretty basic. All you need to know is the fastest 33 cars make the field.
Okay, Danica. The fastest 33 cars have qualified. So now you race, right?
Actually, no. There's still one more day of qualifying.
I'm not sure how it works. Because in golf, it's the lowest score.
I'm getting upset.
Okay, so I understand pole day, and I celebrate it every year.
So what's left to qualify?
It's called Bump Day, and it's exactly what it sounds like. And it's a day where you can bump the slowest car out of the field.
Why does it get so complicated?
It's not that hard to get, boys.
I explained or understood it completely. I don't know about you guys. As we pan down from the pagoda, there is the victory podium. One person will get to stand there as we take a look at row number 9, and it's Buddy Lazier, Jeff Simmons, and Al Unser Jr. as we head to row 10.
Row 10, Roger Yasukawa came in here late, did a very good job. Ayrton Dare and Stefan Gregoire hasn't been in the car for quite some time, but did a great job also.
Harry Lindau Jr. starts in row 11 and P.J. Jones in the center. Not much time for P.J. in the racetrack. He's been working his way up to speed.
And 2:15 right there is our slowest speed so far with 1 spot remaining. And here are the gentlemen who have yet to take their efforts. It'll be Marty Roth and Tiago Medeiros. And Marty has had a, boy, he's had an eventful month of May. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Let's go back. Here's the first one we had back on May 11th, guys.
Just coming off of turn 2, there's not too many times that you can actually spin here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and get away with it. And then just to follow that up, a little spin coming off of 1 goes down onto the surface lane and cuts control of the car. And I guess I was amazed that he actually did it twice and didn't hit anything.
Well, then here's the last one. This was today, and he's Canadian, so we got to give him the hat trick here as from hockey, and he keeps it off the wall one more time.
I gotta tell you, this guy needs to go to work for the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show. How he keeps pulling us off, I have no idea.
Now, also, when we come back, we'll talk about Tiago Medeiros. There is his crew. They're still trying to get that car reassembled so they can try and get into the field. There he is. Stay with us. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you're looking at the most famous alley in the world. It's Gasoline Alley. It leads right on out to the racetrack here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And as we continue to work our way through the last half hour, if you're just tuning in, here is our front row for the 90th running of the greatest spectacle in racing. Sam Hornish, Elio Castroneves, and Dan Wheldon. Let's get an update on Tiago Medeiros. Jack Arute, what's going on in that camp?
Well, Marty, you know, just simply to make the Indianapolis 500 for a rookie is quite an accomplishment. But to do it the way Tiago Medeiros is going to have to do it, well, it will be one of the great stories, if he accomplishes it, in IndyCar annals. Why? Well, let's go back to Thursday when Tiago Medeiros, a veteran of the Indy Pro Series and the USAC Silver Crown Series, lost control of his automobile and walloped the wall, totally destroying the one chassis that PDM had in their possession. But Tiago Medeiros, he hung in there, as did Paul Diatlovich and the rest of the crew, as they stripped down that chassis, located another chassis from Adrian Fernandez's back operation, and they've been at work since 3 o'clock yesterday. Let's get an update as far as what's going on back in Gasoline Alley in the PDM garage with Jamie Little. Jamie?
Well, Jack, not much has changed back here. These guys are feverishly working over here. You could see this was the carbon fiber tub that started out with nothing connected to it. Last night, 7 p.m., these guys are working away to try to get this car able to qualify tomorrow. And Tiago, you're here with us now and watching your guys just work away. Do you think it's realistic to say you're going to go for the run tomorrow? Will you guys be ready to qualify and get that 33rd spot?
Hi, Jimmy. I mean, we know that bumpy day is always a new drama. I mean, I never thought that I could have been in it. And now that we are here, I mean, those guys deserve it. We're going to go there, and we're going to get this car on the field.
We saw you hit the wall pretty hard. What happened? What went wrong?
Miscommunication with the spotter. I mean, I saw Matsuura behind me, and then I was going to run. He said the car was low, so I just got confused, trying to run a little bit high and give him a little bit of space, and it was my mistake, and ran out of grip. So after the car had a wiggle, lost the rear, I mean, we got a new tub because that tub was gone after the pickup point broke the tub. And those guys deserve, I mean, they've been working pretty much 24 hours here and putting everything together. So I've been just here expecting everything to go right, and we're going to go for the bump tomorrow.
Let's talk about bump day tomorrow. There's one spot available, but we've heard a few different cars out there that want to go for it as well. Are you at all concerned about securing that position?
No, I mean, we were running very good. They're going to put the same setup that we had before. We were running very confident and a very consistent car. Just like I know what those guys are doing, and definitely, I mean, I trust a lot in PDM, and those guys deserve to be there.
Well, it will be a miraculous turnaround if we can see these guys out on the track tomorrow. Bump day begins at 12 o'clock, guys, and as we just saw on the pylon, there is one spot remaining for the 90th running of the Indianapolis 500. Marty.
And it starts at noon and ends at 6 p.m. Here are the 500 rookies that are in the field. Marco Andretti 9th, Townsend Bell 15th, P.J. Chesson 20th, and Arie Luyendyk Jr. 31st. If you were with us at the very beginning of our special 3-hour edition, we told you about Dan Wheldon and his love for speed. Well, we're going to take you on the water when we come back. Back here at the racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Boy, is that a beautiful sight in the nighttime skies here in Indy. As we talk about Dan Wheldon a little bit more. If you were with us earlier, we had a real good chance to sit down and talk about his run as he is on the outside of row number 1. But the defending Indy 500 champion has had a very tumultuous 12 months. Jamie Little has more.
Dan Wheldon is living large after a season of success and change. I went to visit Dan at his new home in sunny St. Petersburg, Florida, where we discussed last year's month of May.
Qualifying was the worst day of my career, I think. We definitely had a chance at the pole, and the pole means a lot at Indianapolis.
So Dan Wheldon's average 224.308 miles per hour. He doesn't have enough to get that car in the front row and possibly the front 3 rows.
Qualifying 16th, although was very bad when I was considered one of the favorites for the pole, was actually very good because it made myself and my engineer work so hard on producing a race car that was not only quick, but very good in traffic.
Dan Wheldon has just won the Indianapolis 500.
I remember it vividly. Like through turn 1, John Anderson came on the radio, who was calling my race, and he said, "Dan, you are now the Indianapolis 500 champion." And I'm like, man, that's unbelievable. And then just, you know, up the backstretch, I started to get a bit tearful, and I'm never normally like that. And I'm like, oh, I have to kind of maintain some composure. And I remember Bryan in the drivers' meeting said absolutely no donuts, but I didn't want to come in a crying wreck. So I did some donuts and actually stalled because I was a wreck. Drinking the milk was the first realization I got of actually winning that race.
Despite winning the Indy 500 and going on to win the series championship, Dan Wheldon left Andretti Green Racing. Why did you make the change? Was it to leave Andretti or was it to join Chip?
I guess I'm going to be honest for the first time and open up a little bit more. I could see personally that the team was starting to change a little bit. I noticed a little bit more friction. I noticed financially the team weren't quite as secure as they made out that they were. And obviously with the fact that it looked like Honda was going to be the sole engine manufacturer in the series, and that the development budget that Honda had kind of piled into Andretti Green was maybe not going to go for 2006, but was certainly going to go after that, really kind of made me evaluate my options. I don't know how well you know Chip, but he just got me after he got me after the first sentence. He said, I remember he said to me, what do you want to achieve if you come to this team? And I said, you know what, I want to prove to everybody out there, but mainly to myself, that I can win in a different car.
Well, Dan Wheldon has had a very successful career in IndyCar. Take a look at this. 53 starts, 10 wins, and 31 top 5s. That means 58% of the time he's finishing in the top 5. That is very hard to do. Now, how about Target Ganassi Racing? They're qualified 3rd and 4th. He took some pretty strong comments towards his former team, Andretti Green Racing. And they're qualified 5th, 9th, 13th, 16th, and 17th. And it all comes back to what he was pointing about. Everybody now has the Honda engine. And Were you surprised how strong those comments seem to be?
Well, you know, I think it's really truthful for him to come out and do that. But, you know, the thing that I guess that I look at when I think about hearing his comments is that, you know, something everybody thought Dan Wheldon was absolutely out of his mind to leave Andretti Green Racing last year because they had everything going for them. They had just won the Indy 500. He had won the championship. And I think, along with myself, I thought, why? But now I think I look back on it and think, you know something? He's not only a great driver, he's a pretty smart businessman at the same time.
Well, he's a pretty smart businessman and a good driver, although I thought he drove for a really good team last year, Andretti Green Racing, and I still think that team is a great team. One thing I do know, though, is Chip Ganassi Racing, he's a winner. This guy wants to win in everything he does, and he's going to give Wheldon and Dixon some first-class equipment this year. And, guys, you know what? Everything changes from year to year, and Wheldon made a decision that he thought was best for him.
All right, guys, we are going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we still have a lot more coming your way as we're wrapping up our 3 hours focusing on pole day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That is a live view back in the garage area, work continuing, and it will be going on probably all night long. Tiago Medeiros trying to get his car ready for tomorrow here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's get you caught up on what happened earlier today. Sam Hornish Jr. gets his first pole here at Indianapolis, just shy of 229 miles an hour. He was flying around this racetrack. Teammate Elio Castroneves right behind him by 67/100ths of a second after 10 miles. Scott Dixon in the number 4 slot as a target. Chip Ganassi ended up 3rd and 4th on the starting grid. Dixon will be right behind Dan Wheldon, who was in the number 3 position at the end of pole day qualifying. And Danica Patrick, she'll start number 10, and that's maybe bad in some people's opinion, but it's the 4 best laps that she has had all month long. As you take a look at the view out of Gasoline Alley, let's take a look at our first 3 in the row number 1, Sam Hornish, Helio, and Dan Wheldon.
And in row 2, no surprise to see another Ganassi car with Scott Dixon, Tony Kanaan, maybe a bit of a surprise with Andretti Green because they were struggling, and Vitor Meira, a nice surprise in the Panther car.
And in row 3, you got Kosuke, Matsuura, Scott Sharp, and Marco Andretti. Marco Andretti continues to surprise me, 19 years old and standing on the throttle, really looking great out there.
Here at Indianapolis, not only is the 500 held here, but also the Brickyard 400. When we come back, we're going to let Scott and Rusty climb into their respective machines and talk about the advantages and maybe some of the disadvantages. Stay with us. Pole day is winding down here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You know, we promised you right before the break that we would compare and contrast an IndyCar with a Nextel Cup car. Well, here's Rusty and Scott.
All right, Scott, I'll tell you what, let's do a little Cup versus IndyCar 101. You know, when my car's not handling right, I'm going to make some adjustments on the next pit stop.
I can do all types of adjustments. I can change the weight of the car. I've got a weight jacker. I can reach over here and adjust my bars to change the roll bar on the front and the rear of the car if the car's not handling. I don't have to wait and come into the pits to have some of my boys do that during the pit stop.
You're telling me you can make front sway bar adjustments, rear sway bar adjustments, and a jacking device that actually puts pressure on the left rear tire from inside the car while you're racing?
This digital dash, I can see everything here, all the engine functions, some chassis functions, tire pressure. I've got extra buttons and knobs here that I can set my pit speed limit for the pit lane. I can change my fuel adjustment.
Go to yellow mix, yellow mix.
Can do all these things here. I can get a squirt of water just by pushing a button on the steering wheel, Rusty. It's really cool. The steering wheel, about $25,000.
Well, Scott, my steering wheel here is about 15 inches wide. I can pull it back and take it off and put it on the dashboard so I can get out. But I'll tell you what, this baby costs about $200 for this steering wheel compared to your $25,000. Oh, man, you guys got it too easy over there.
Okay, well, let's continue this little tete-a-tete. These are $25,000 for a steering wheel. That is the real price on this thing. He's got one advantage on you. If you guys want to start rubbing, I'm betting on him.
Oh, I told him that because I looked over it, and that was some big car. I called him Tin Top. That's my new nickname for him, Tin Top.
I will tell you, though, Scott, I was very, very impressed with those cars. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, you drove one, remember?
Yeah, I tell you what really freaked me out, though, was when Dario Franchitti was so mad at his car, he got his steering wheel and whipped it up on top. I go, no, man, that's $25,000. Don't throw that wheel away. That made me nervous.
Well, there'd be a bit of a penalty because that's damage. You know what Michael Andretti will do? Just take a little tick off next week's paycheck, and that'd be $25,000 off that deal.
This is my first year calling the IRL races and the Indy 500, something I'm real proud of. But, you know, it's so cool, Marty and Scott, to come over here and look at the technology on these cars, guys, and see the differences for stock car racing and IndyCar racing and how cool these hot rods really are, I call them. It's an amazing week I've had here, a month at Indianapolis watching these cars develop.
Now, with the car that you saw, what would you take from an Indy car and put on a NASCAR? Safety features or what have you? What can you learn from our car?
Dude, that's easy.
Easy.
I'd have a gas gauge. I've been asking NASCAR for a gas gauge my whole life. I have never got NASCAR to let us know how much fuel is really in our tank. We go by weight, we go by taking our socks and shoes off and counting our fingers, all kind of stuff. I want a gas gauge in a stock car. Just like an Indy car's got a fuel flow meter, we know how much fuel's in a car.
Let's talk about some of the other technological features. Let's bring in Jack Arute with our cutaway car.
Yeah, Marty, let me see if I can help Rusty out a little bit, because there's a few other things, Rusty, that are a little bit different. You know, we're talking about the tin tops that Scott was referring to that your cars are. Well, remember, this entire car is developed with carbon fiber. Now, I know you got a little carbon fiber, I think, in the interior of your Nextel Cup cars, but not the kind of carbon fiber that we're talking about here. So when these cars are designed and built, they're actually baked in an autoclave. That's right. They're put together, and then they start with the basic tub area. But way back here, a little bit different, Rusty, than maybe what you're used to. You know, we know this, the obvious, the engine's in the back versus the front, but the engine is an integral part of the chassis in an Indy car. Now, in a stock car, you can pull that engine. If I pulled this Honda engine out of this cutaway car, this car'd fall in half, because the mounts are at this point on the tub and then come all the way back to all the suspension and the rear drive and the gearbox is all attached back here. But this is the thing that I want to show viewers, because come May 28th on ABC at 1 o'clock, we're going to see some of the most spectacular in-car camera footage that you've ever seen. It really gets my blood going, and all of the cars are equipped with this in-car camera pod. Now, some of them are blank, don't have the in-car camera, but you can see the camera right in this area here. And actually, there's a little cover that goes over that. It's mounted right above the air intake for the engines, and by remote control, you'll notice when we're covering it, sometimes the fluid gets up there and all of a sudden you'll see it slide by. It's not tear-offs, it's automated. But the most important part about this car, and Scott, you know, it's how much air can you force into this inlet back into this Honda engine to try and maximize the horsepower.
Horsepower is actually really cool, because, you know, we've got about 650 horsepower in our cars. I know you guys have a lot more in what's a non-restricted classification, but it's all about safety in your racing and our racing. And the one thing I couldn't understand is that because of safety, you guys don't have a pit speed limiter, which is really amazing to me, because you should be able to push the button on the pit speed limiter and look up and just drive down the pit lane and look at all the other cars and the crew that's out there. You guys are driving along looking down that tachometer trying to see how fast you're going. Isn't it safer to actually have some technology on those race cars?
I don't know about safer, Scott, but it keeps us tougher. I mean, it keeps us on our cue. It says, look at that, you know, we got a tachometer. How much does it cost you to have a pit speed limiter? NASCAR keeps it simple. They keep it cheaper, I think, sometimes. But, you know, for a driver, it would be a lot easier to push the button and stay in the throttle and know you're not going to speed. Because let me tell you what, my buddies down in NASCAR, Mike Helton and those guys, they've busted me many, many times for speeding.
Let's talk about the safety factor. Let's bring it back to that. We've had several incidents throughout the month. Probably the hardest hit was Buddy Rice earlier in the first week, 1 year ago to the day that he had his very serious crash. But no one has spent a night in the hospital. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen for the rest of the month.
And I've crashed in that very turn, actually. And, you know, if you hit that safer barrier that he actually impacted against, and the safer barrier is something that Tony George actually funded out of his own pocket and actually went ahead with the universities to actually make this safer barrier to go to all racetracks around the country, not only IndyCar tracks, but also NASCAR tracks. The safer barrier is steel against some foam, against the cement wall, so if you hit it and actually crushes itself a little bit and gives some give actually against the wall, you're not hitting the cement wall, Rusty. I think it's a great thing that Tony George has done, and he's the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but he you made it available for everybody.
Well said, man. I'll tell you, the safer barriers definitely help the safety of all sports, whether it's Indy cars, stock cars, any type of things. The development that these fellows have done need to be commended. Just to give you an example, if you hit a concrete wall versus a softer wall, your body's going to feel at least 40% less of impact hitting a soft wall. That's a big number, guys, and that's something as a driver what's kept me around for a long time.
All right, we are going to step aside, and when we come back, we'll talk about Bump Day. We'll set the scene for you as we'll set the stage for what you see on the screen, 1 o'clock Eastern and 5 Eastern, when we return. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as pole day is coming to a close, and a special thanks to all of our crew because it has been a very long day. Everybody's been here since about 8 this morning. We're going to show you the entire grid, all 32 positions. There's still one opening. As you do that and you see what's going on, let's get some thoughts from, first up, Jack Arute.
Marty, maybe the most famous moment today was the back and forth between Team Penske and Target Chip Ganassi. First for the pole position, and then as time started to run out, maybe, just maybe, an opportunity to try and unseat Team Penske by Target Chip Ganassi. I think it's a great indication of what we're going to see coming up on the race itself. This is a rivalry that was born many years ago and continues, Vince, right down to the running of the 90th Indianapolis 500.
Jack, what I liked about today was the fact that we saw some surprises. Some guys didn't fare as well as they might have hoped. Some fared better. And I like what Vitor Meira was able to accomplish today out of the Panther Racing team. This is a team that is completely different than it was a year ago. A much smaller operation, and yet they chose Vitor Meira to pilot their car. Guy who finished second here last year, and he qualified 6th quick today. I guarantee you there aren't many people in this garage counting out Vitor Meira for race day. Jamie?
I'll tell you what, Vince, we do so much talking about the drivers and the team owners, but you can't forget about the heart and soul of the sport, the men that are spending tireless hours preparing these cars, because it is so important to qualify your car in the most prestigious race in the world. Tiago Medeiros and the number 18 car, PDM Racing, working on it now, trying to get it ready and prepared for tomorrow. A lot of long hours and tired men down here, Marty.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Final thoughts, guys?
The thing it just really got me excited. Look at the speed today, 234 miles an hour on the straightaway, incredibly fast straightaway speeds. You know, to see Hornish do a 228, something like that, and everything turned out safe. That's what I love so much.
No matter how many times you've been here, if you're a veteran or a rookie, the pressure about qualifying, I think Michael Andretti said it best. You know something, I'm coming back here to try and qualifying. I was nervous today. What a statement.
Yeah, it really was. Here's our schedule for tomorrow. We'll have Indianapolis 500 Bump Day presented by Capital One at 1 Eastern Time, and then back with the final hour at 5 p.m. Eastern. So for Rusty Wallace, Scott Goodyear, Jack Arute, Jamie Little, Vince Welch, and our entire crew who did yeoman work today, they're going to finally get to come off cameras and take a breather. We'll be back with you tomorrow, as this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Baseball Tonight is coming up next on ESPN, and we'll be back with you tomorrow for Bump Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Good night, everybody.